Welcome to my channel. This time we will review a new drama, entitled, When the Phone Rings. This drama tells the story of Paik Sa-Eon, the son of a famous politician, who started his career as a newsreader, before becoming the youngest presidential spokesperson. However, his perfect life is shaken by the kidnapping of his wife, Hong Hee-Joo, a sign language interpreter, who has a past full of tragedy. Hong Hee-Joo has a deaf condition, due to a childhood accident, but is able to build an inspiring career. However, their marriage, based on political interests and status, presents a cold and secretive dynamic. When Hee-Joo disappears, Paik Sa-Eon faces a big dilemma. Does he really care, or is he just worried about the impact on his political career? This is the beginning of a story full of mystery that explores the complex relationship between power, love, and sacrifice. Hong Hee-Joo is a sign language interpreter at a TV station. While she was working, suddenly there was news about the kidnapping, and soon there would be a press conference from the presidential spokesperson, Paik Sa-Eon. Yuri, the news presenter, was so happy because she would see Sa-Eon, and they told Hee-Joo to come back. Sa-Eon is very admired as a presidential spokesperson, and he always shadows the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. His articulation and voice are good. He excels in terms of appearance, trust, and ratings. The people where Hee-Joo works do not know that Hee-Joo is actually Sa-Eon's wife. And Sa-Eon gave an explanation for the press conference regarding the kidnapping by the Argon armed group. He announced to the media that the ransom requested by the kidnappers would not be granted, even though the hostage would be killed. However, the government will continue to try to save the hostage and make every effort so that incidents like this do not happen again in the future. At that time, Hee-Joo saw it, and then she raised her middle finger to Sa-Eon. What's actually going on between husband and wife? The wife until Hee-Joo behaved like that.
부디 한마음으로.
After finishing the press conference, he was still alert with various negative comments that might come. And when he returned to his desk, there were also many reporters who called his cell phone, but he ignored them. Meanwhile, Hee-Joo and her mother met with her mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law wanted Hee-Joo to stop working immediately, because there would be an election soon. Her mother-in-law wanted Hee-Joo to focus on supporting her husband, because actually her mother-in-law did not agree that Hee-Joo working. Because Hee-Joo's name and face could be exposed to the media. In addition, is Hee-Joo's selective mutism or inability to speak not getting better? But her mother-in-law felt that it might be better for her to remain mute. And her mother blamed Hee-Joo. If she stole someone else's man, she should have done it well, because Hee-Joo apparently couldn't win Sa-Eon's heart. Her mother reminded her that she was the second daughter of the owner of the Changwon Daily and the daughter-in-law of the presidential candidate. After that, Hee-Joo went home alone by driving her car. She then listened to the radio discussing the news about the Argon armed group. But the radio station changed by itself and made Hee-Joo confused. Not only that, her car's GPS also had an error, and suddenly her car couldn't be controlled. The brake pedal also didn't work. It seemed like someone was controlling her car, and she drove her car erratically and then went off the road to her house. Suddenly her car stopped by itself in the middle of the road, and she was still able to survive. But when she wanted to get out, her car locked itself and she couldn't get out of her car. She remembered the news of malware that was implanted in the vehicle navigation software. And it was a car hack that manipulated Hee-Joo's current vehicle, and Hee-Joo panicked. At that time, from outside there was a man who was watching Hee-Joo. The man looked suspicious and he approached Hee-Joo's car. Hee-Joo was confused who the masked man was, and suddenly her car door unlocked itself. While Sa-Eon was working, he received a call from an unknown number, and it seemed like it was a foreign number. Sa-Eon answered it and was curious who he was because it was a foreign number, but the man suddenly said that he would kill his wife. When Sa-Eon was a little shocked, the call suddenly got cut off because his cell phone battery was out. Then he called her mother-in-law to check on his wife, but they had separated and his wife had gone home. Then Seo-un asked his subordinate to track the number that called him. The man called Seo-un again, but Seo-un ignored it, because he was busy enough to answer the prank call. He asked the man to just kill his wife, don't just threaten, but do it. And it turned out that Hee-Joo was really in danger. She hearing that her husband didn't care about her and didn't mind if the man killed her. Of course it made the man angry and he strangled Hee-Joo's neck because the man really liked the victim's scared expression. The man asked Hee-Joo to realize that this wasn't a joke, but her husband thought it was a joke. Hee-Joo was very sad when the man thought whether Seo-un really didn't love his own wife or he had another wife. And the man was very angry when Seo-un ignored his phone. He stabbed the car seat until the knife hit Hee-Joo's neck. It turned out that the phone he used could only call Seo-un and the voice change was also automatic. Because he used a VPN, his phone couldn't be tracked for 10 minutes. Then Seo-un picked up the phone and said, not to bother him, go ahead if you want to kill his wife and call again when her body appears. Hearing the words from her own husband, Hee-Joo was really sad. She didn't expect her life to be that trivial in Seo-un's eyes. She then immediately drove her car fast and swerved her car so that the man couldn't be controlled. And sure enough, when the car jumped, the man fell over because he was not wearing a seat belt, while Hee-Joo was still able to control the speed of the car. Hee-Joo was very sad because she felt that her husband did not love her. Hee-Joo was already home. She took a shower and treated her own wounds. When she was preparing food, Seo-un came home and saw that his wife was fine. He said that he got a prank call threatening to kill Hee-Joo. But at home it turned out that his wife was still alive and fine. At that time Hee-Joo didn't care. She was busy preparing food for herself. Seo-un was relieved because his wife was fine, and according to him the caller was just a prankster who was scaring him. He asked his men to find a bodyguard for his wife, because now many people really want to bring him down. But even so, he wanted someone to protect his wife without revealing that Hee-Joo was Seo-un's wife. Then Seo-un's men talked about the British embassy event, that the ambassador's wife was deaf and they couldn't find a suitable sign language interpreter. So, Seo-un immediately asked for help from Hee-Joo to accompany him at tomorrow's event and to help him become a sign language interpreter. Seo-un also reminded Hee-Joo that this was not an event for couples. She was only needed as an interpreter, so don't misunderstand. Her mother called and Hee-Joo just listened because she couldn't speak. Her mother reminded her that the presidential election was less than a month away, so her mother wanted Hee-Joo to take care of her body. She also asked why Hee-Joo stopped coming to the clinic and hadn't gotten pregnant. Hearing that Hee-Joo then hid her cell phone, she didn't want to hear her mother's talking. 3 years ago, on the wedding day, Seo-un came to the bride's waiting room and told Hee-Joo that Hee-Joo didn't deserve to wear a wedding dress. Because she was just a substitute, Hee-Joo felt offended and tried to take off the dress in front of Seo-un. But Seo-un immediately covered Hee-Joo with his wedding jacket because he didn't want Hee-Joo to be naked. Then, he handed over the wedding vows for Hee-Joo to sign. The contents of the agreement included the wife could not file a marriage proposal divorce, especially during the election period, and do not reveal Hee-Joo's name or face as Seo-un's wife. If one is violated, then Hee-Joo must pay a fine of 2 billion won. Then Hee-Joo signed the agreement with a sour face. Then Seo-un put the wedding ring on Hee-Joo's finger. He told Hee-Joo not to expect their relationship as husband and wife, because Hee-Joo was sent as his hostage. At the ambassador's birthday party, Seo-un waited for Hee-Joo, who did not come. Then her bodyguard apologized because they arrived late and Seo-un invited Hee-Joo to enter the party. Seo-un was warmly welcomed by the ambassador, and the ambassador then introduced his wife, who was deaf. At that time Hee-Joo immediately translated Seo-eun's words with sign language and his wife was surprised because Seo-eun's wife could sign language. But Hee-Joo explained that she was not Seo-eun's wife, she was just a translator and there was no personal relationship. The ambassador was grateful because Seo-eun brought a translator to his wife. But he was confused, why Seo-eun never brought his wife. Then Seo-eun said that actually his wife also has a disability and he can't always accompany her. You could say that his wife is his weakness because he often gets attacked from various sides. You could say that Seo-eun is the official scapegoat of the government, so he doesn't want his wife to receive attacks like him. The ambassador immediately understood and he thinks Seo-eun is a romantic man because he cares about his wife's safety. After greeting the ambassador, Hee-Joo is seen drinking a lot until she is reprimanded by Seo-eun. Hee-Joo invites Seo-eun to go home, but Seo-eun doesn't allow it yet. He just wants Hee-Joo to stand beside him. Then Hee-Joo does sign language to Seo-eun. She feels disappointed with Seo-eun's attitude. Does he think Hee-Joo has no feelings? She was very sad and hurt by Seo-eun's previous statement that called Hee-Joo his weakness. Weakness is a wound that is about to be infected. When touched it will be shocked, tremble, guard it with all his might. But Seo-eun was not like that. When Hee-Joo was attacked yesterday and she called Seo-eun a jerk. Seeing Hee-Joo's expression, it seemed like he was being scolded by her. Hee-Joo continued that the wife she had just discussed might not be her. At that time the caller who threatened Seo-eun contacted him again. Seo-eun said it was a bit arrogant because she failed to kill her wife yesterday and he didn't have time to listen to his rambling anymore. Then the caller said that Seo-eun didn't have much to do at the party. Seo-eun was shocked because the caller could tell that he was at the party, that he was watching him, but Seo-eun didn't realize it. But Seo-eun felt that it was just a bluff. Then the caller laughed and proved that he was really around him. There was a bruschetta snack in front of him. Seo-eun was shocked because it seemed like the caller was right. He was at this party. He wonders who the caller is. How did he get in? Even the caller planned to hurt Hee-Joo at this party. Seo-eun saw a suspicious man and rushed after him. He followed the man who entered the men's toilet. He broke down the toilet door and it turned out that the man was on the phone with a woman. Seo-eun rushed to find his wife. He also said if she knew the caller was lying, because no one knew who his wife was. Suddenly the caller said that Hong Hee-Joo was not his real wife. His real wife is the person he should have married, his fiancée. The first daughter of the daily Changwon, Hong In-a. She ran away on her wedding day and no one knows her whereabouts. Isn't it too much because he married her sister and made her a hostage? People will be happy to know that Seo-eun is a clean and great spokesperson, riding the two sisters like an elevator. Seo-eun felt very angry. What did the caller actually want? The caller conveyed his request to get rid of Hee-Joo and return to his real fiancée. It was surprising that the caller was Hee-Joo. It turned out she was not mute. On the night when Hee-Joo was threatened by the man, Hee-Joo was hurt by Seo-eun, who had underestimated her life. She was very angry and suddenly stopped her car. She asked the man to call him again. She shouted and called him by herself, but Seo-eun did not pick up the phone. She drove her car fast until she hit the guardrail, until the man was thrown and passed out. And it turned out that she took the cell phone and used it herself to disturb her husband. She asked Seo-eun to return everything to how it was before and she would not reveal the secret of his marriage. But Seo-eun just kept quiet and Hee-Joo panicked a bit because she had been calling for almost 10 minutes. Then she said to do it tomorrow or else pay 2 billion won. Then Seo-eun said if she wanted to threaten him, she should learn about him first. Because it was easy for him to turn a scandal into fake news. He could also get rid of a pathetic blackmailer with his eyes closed. Why did he involve the person he meant Hee-Joo? And Hee-Joo couldn't believe what happened to her yesterday. That she almost died. She was strangled and pulled by her hair and held a knife to her. She was really scared and she couldn't argue because she couldn't talk. And her car almost rolled over, and Seo-un felt very angry and slammed his hand on the concrete wall until it hurt. He swore he would catch her himself, and the alarm went off because it had been 10 minutes, and Hee-Joo hung up the phone. Did Hee-Joo succeed in scaring her husband? After deceiving her husband through a phone call, Hee-Joo came out of the toilet. She saw her husband and then walked slowly to avoid him. But Seo-un saw her and pulled her hand, and they entered a room. Hee-Joo was confused because Seo-un's face was close to her, and suddenly Seo-un asked Hee-Joo to take out her cell phone. He asked Hee-Joo to answer his question by typing on her cell phone. She asked if it was true that there was an accident last night and was Hee-Joo injured. When Hee-Joo was about to answer, Seo-un checked Hee-Joo's face and neck, which had wounds. Hee-Joo closed her eyes when Seo-un took off her shirt, and he saw the back of Hee-Joo's neck, which was injured. Seo-un was very angry because the perpetrator threatened her with a knife and also wanted to kill her. He couldn't understand why Hee-Joo didn't tell him about the incident, but Hee-Joo thought it was because previously Seo-un let the caller kill her. Seo-un asked his wife to always be guarded by bodyguards and then check her wounds at the hospital. After Seo-un left, Hee-Joo was relieved because she hadn't been caught. At home, Hee-Joo listened to the recording of the phone conversation with Seo-un again. She smiled because she had succeeded in making Seo-un afraid. It seemed like he was angry if someone touched his property. Hee-Joo had kept the cell phone for 2 days. The man would definitely be looking for it, so Hee-Joo had to hurry. Seo-un suddenly came home and asked Hee-Joo for her car keys. Hee-Joo quickly took them because if Seo-un opened her bag, then she could be caught. Because of the cell phone, she kept it in her bag. Then Seo-un checked the condition of his wife's car. There was a stab mark on the car seat. Hee-Joo realized, and she rushed after Seo-un because she was afraid that Seo-un would check her car's dashcam camera. Because yesterday she talked and cursed in the car, and she didn't want Seo-un to know that she wasn't mute. But strangely, her car's dashcam didn't record anything, and Hee-Joo was very relieved because there was no recording. Suddenly a motorbike almost hit her, and Seo-un swiftly pulled and hugged Hee-Joo. Then, Seo-un will buy her a new car and asked her to stop working. But tomorrow, there is a translation assignment in court, and Hee-Joo still wants to work, even though her mother-in-law wants her to stop working. She begged her husband to let her keep working. Seo-un agreed, but at least she had to bring a bodyguard while working, but Hee-Joo didn't want to look conspicuous. While having dinner with Seo-un, his mother asked Hee-Joo to stop working because she was too troublesome. Their marriage shouldn't have happened. But Seo-un felt that his family was the one who wanted a bond with Chang-won, even though he had to swapping the bride. His father could get to this point because of the Chang-won daily covered up his scandal. Then Seo-un asked his mother who knew the secret of his marriage besides his family, and his mother answered Hong In-a also knew.
범죄 심리학자로 활약하신
Seo-un checked the CCTV footage with her subordinate, Mr. Park, but they didn't find anything. Then, in the ambassador's party there was also nothing suspicious. Most of the guests were part-time external workers. In conclusion, they didn't find anything useful. Then Seo-un asked if Mr. Park had ever met his wife, and Mr. Park answered never. Seo-un was surprised, even though no one knew about his wife in this country. While in the toilet, Hee-Joo felt someone was following her. She was scared because a man had threatened her before. Then her bodyguard looked for Hee-Joo, but didn't find her. She then asked for help from other bodyguards to look for her. But they still didn't find her, and then she sent a message to Seo-un and told him that his wife missing, and Seo-un panicked. Then the bodyguard sent another message that they had found her and she was with a man. The bodyguard took a picture of her and sent the photo to Seo-un, and it seemed that Seo-un was a little annoyed. He told the bodyguard to stop taking pictures and just guard her. It turned out that the man was Hee-Joo's college senior, Ji Sang-woo, and he was also good at sign language, which allowed him to communicate with Hee-Joo. For 3 years Sang-woo looked for Hee-Joo and then saw her when Hee-Joo became a sign language interpreter on news television. Hee-Joo apologized for not giving him news and then Sang-woo asked for Hee-Joo's number. Because Sang-woo would work in the same place as Hee-Joo and they could communicate. Her mother went to Hee-Joo's house and gave her lingerie because she thought her daughter was pitiful. Hee-Joo wondered if her mother wasn't a pimp. It turned out that Hee-Joo agreed to marry Seo-un on the condition that her father could be treated in a good nursing home. And her mother asked Hee-Joo to maintain her marriage because if Hee-Joo made a mistake, her father could return to the streets. That was Hee-Joo's weakness and she could only follow her mother's wishes.
필사적으로 방어하게 되는 거.
Then Hee-Joo wore the lingerie. She was curious, after getting out of this prison, what her mother's expression would be like. And Hee-Joo terrorizes her husband again and asks if he has made a decision. Will he return to the beginning or pay for it? But Seo-un is still curious about how the caller knows Hee-Joo, even though everyone thinks Hong In is his wife. So where did the caller get the information about Hee-Joo? Could it be that the caller is near him? But according to her it doesn't matter, because she can bring him down. And according to Seo-un, he can't compromise anymore, because she has hurt his wife. Then Hee-Joo sends a photo of herself wearing lingerie, with her thighs showing. But Seo-un doesn't believe that's a photo of Hee-Joo's thighs. And she asks Seo-un back, how did her husband not know that his wife had a unique mole on her thigh? Is Seo-un not interested in her, or has he never seen her naked? And Seo-un is curious about 406, the caller's nickname. Is 406 married and when was his first experience with a woman? He thought 406 was a pervert who used fake photos to fantasize, harass and slander his wife. Seo-un knows his wife very well so don't talk nonsense. But Hee-Joo thought Seo-un was just pretending to be her husband and it wasn't a fake photo. Unconsciously Hee-Joo asked Seo-un to check and make sure it was his wife's thigh or not. After that she regretted what she had just said to Seo-un. Seo-un went home and went straight to his wife's room. Hee-Joo, who was scared, hid under her blanket. Why did he come into her room? Then Seo-un pulled her blanket, but Hee-Joo held her blanket tightly. With all his strength Seo-un pulled her blanket until his body was above Hee-Joo and they looked at each other with very close faces. But Seo-un didn't do anything. He even told her that there was a job vacancy for a sign language interpreter that was suitable for Hee-Joo. Hee-Joo was confused because suddenly Seo-un wanted Hee-Joo to work near him. 3 years ago when Hee-Joo fell asleep at the dining table, Seo-un's smile saw her. After eating, Hee-Joo asked him to dance and at that time Hee-Joo closed her eyes, but Seo-un didn't seem interested in her. He told Hee-Joo not to keep feelings for him, no need to act like a doll in front of him. Don't do all of her mother's orders, because Hee-Joo is not part of his plan, so don't get in his way. When she woke up, Hee-Joo was surprised to see Seo-un watching TV at home. It turned out that Seo-un left at noon and he asked Hee-Joo for breakfast. But Seo-un cooked and Hee-Joo helped him. Hee-Joo was curious, because it turned out that Seo-un could cook. Seo-un planned to give Hee-Joo a new bodyguard, because previously she was missing in court. Hee-Joo explained that she was with her college senior and Seo-un was curious if her senior could be trusted. Seo-un thought Hee-Joo was just living quietly and obediently under his control. Then Seo-un took a plate and prepared an omelette for Hee-Joo to eat.
나 먹으라고.
Hee-Joo visited her father at the nursing home, but at that time her father was doing karaoke inside the room. Hee-Joo did not hide that she could talk in front of her father, but her father did not call her Hee-Joo, but Yan-Hui. It seems like he has dementia and calls Hee-Joo by her mother's name, Yan-Hui. Hee-Joo is very sad. When she became Hong Hee-Joo instead of No Hee-Joo, she has never been calm again. She pretends to be mute and becomes Hong in A's shadow. She no longer remembers who she is. Hee-Joo is really fed up and wants to stop. Previously Seo-un chatted with his reporter friend and discussed the caller 406, who sent a pornographic photo, and threatened the husband to end the relationship with his wife. According to his friend, it was definitely an affair. At first Mr. Park thought that Hee-Joo's car had been forcibly entered, but he just entered, as if the car owner had opened the door. Hee-Joo called again, but was immediately rejected by Seo-eun. Then she called again, and Seo-eun answered that if she wanted to talk then she had to wait, because a pervert like her had to be taught a lesson. She had to wait for another 5 minutes. While waiting for 5 minutes, Hee-Joo went to the convenience store. It seemed like time was passing very slowly. Hee-Joo calmed herself down, so as not to look anxious, but she imagined Seo-eun sitting next to her, and then Hee-Joo realized. But when she called again, Seo-eun still didn't pick up the phone. At home, Hee-Joo watched the news about a man who burned down a building, and previously the man had terrorized him over the phone. Hee-Joo was very shocked when she heard the recording of the conversation. It was her when she terrorized her husband. She didn't feel like she burned down the building. Then suddenly Seo-eun came home with dirty clothes, like they had smoke marks. Then Seo-eun approached Hee-Joo and sat her on the table. Lately nothing made sense to her. It was impossible that there was a side of Hee-Joo that he didn't know. He had to find out which side was real. Suddenly he pulled Hee-Joo's skirt, but Hee-Joo held her back. Then Seo-eun asked whether to take it off by herself or will he do it. Before the fire incident in Seo-eun's office, there is a food delivery man who came to the office. They didn't feel like ordering food, and when one of the staff brought the food in, suddenly when it was opened, the pizza exploded. Seo-eun woke up in the hospital, and at that time Mr. Park accompanied him. The other staff were in the ER, and fortunately no one was seriously injured. Then Mr. Park showed the CCTV footage, and the perpetrator was seen carrying the pizza. But strangely the man waved his hand at the CCTV, as if mocking Seo-eun. Then, Seo-eun immediately checked his cell phone, and he was told by the guard that Hee-Joo had gone home. He then removed her phone line, because he wanted to check something. How dare the man storm into his private office and blow up his team? Mr. Park asked him not to be reckless, because if he was involved, the reporters would know. But Seo-eun still wanted to react. There were many ways to respond without having to reveal himself. When he got home, Seo-eun immediately sat Hee-Joo down because lately he felt no one had come in reason. And right now, Hee-Joo is the only clue, so he asks Hee-Joo to cooperate. He carries Hee-Joo into the room and Hee-Joo asks if he is hurt. Seo-eun just said there was a crazy man who sent a bomb to his office. Can't Hee-Joo guess who the kidnapper was who kidnapped her before? Hee-Joo can only shake her head, but Seo-eun feels that the man knows him very well. Then Seo-eun feels Hee-Joo's thigh and Hee-Joo closes her eyes because she is afraid of being caught. Hee-Joo pushes Seo-eun and asks what Seo-eun really wants to make sure of. The man kidnapped her and Seo-eun is also injured, so why are they like this? That made Seo-eun think that Hee-Joo didn't know what Seo-eun was making sure of right now. Then he closed her thighs and apologized for making her uncomfortable. Mr. Park called Seo-eun. He told him that there was a similar incident in the area before. The police called him a serial arsonist. But Seo-eun felt strange because at that time, he was being called by the caller and at the same time, the explosion happened. He thought the caller had a partner in carrying out his actions. It seemed like they were so close considering the perpetrator knew Seo-eun very well. And at that time, Hee-Joo listened to Seo-eun's phone conversation. Seo-eun asked for Hee-Joo's cell phone because it was possible that her cell phone had been hacked and he wanted to check it. He thought Hee-Joo was very careless because she dropped a glass, and Seo-eun asked Hee-Joo to stay home while he checked her cell phone. Then Hee-Joo immediately deleted the photo of her thighs and turned off the power of the cell phone she used to bother Seo-eun. There was a suspicious man who smiled when he sent a message about the fire at Seo-eun's office. He got a message with a call from the master and the master asked him not to act up from now on. And it seems like the master will give him a job. Seo-un was curious when he saw his wife's cell phone, then he opened the chat application. It turned out that Hee-Joo was sending messages to Sang-woo, and Seo-un opened their chat. Sang-woo was very happy when he met Hee-Joo again, and they seemed to have been in the same orphanage together before. The orphanage was called Nuri's Dream Center, and Seo-un found out about the orphanage. He also found out that they also planned to have lunch together this afternoon. Mr. Park reported his investigation and found a high-performance, liquid explosive device. And they didn't know about the voice changer the caller used, because of inadequate software. Seo-un apologized for involving Mr. Park in his personal affairs. But Mr. Park was just trying to help and thanked Seo-un for trusting him. Suddenly, Uri sent a message to Seo-un, and it seemed like Seo-un was thinking about something. It turned out that Yuri came to the same restaurant as Hee-Joo and Sang-woo. Yuri was surprised to see the two of them eating together, but Sang-woo explained that they were just college friends. It turned out that Seo-un invited Yuri to eat at the same place as Hee-Joo. It seemed like he knew, because Seo-un had read his wife's chat before. Hee-Joo was confused why Seo-un came there, and she hoped Seo-un would pretend not to know her. But Seo-un called her Hong Hee-Joo, the translator, and they were all surprised how Seo-un could know Hee-Joo. Finally, they sat at one table, and with attention Sang-woo gave her the plate that he had sliced the fish on. Yuri was curious how Seo-un could know Hee-Joo, and Seo-un explained that Hee-Joo had helped translate at the British Embassy. When Sang-woo wanted to pour a drink, Seo-un closed his glass because he didn't drink during the day. And Seo-un was a bit disturbed because Sang-woo could sign language, and Seo-un asked Sang-woo a lot of things, and he thought that Seo-un was interested in him. Seeing that, Hee-Joo was disturbed and asked permission to go to the toilet while Seo-un receives a call. Hee-Joo looks annoyed and takes Seo-un's phone and types why he was stalking her when previously her phone was only used to check for hacking. Does Seo-un suspect her of Sang-woo? Seo-un doesn't care about Sang-woo. For him, Sang-woo is just a loser who suddenly appears around them. If Hee-Joo knows him that well, what about Seo-un? Because they have known each other for 20 years. Suddenly Seo-un thinks that it seems like he doesn't know his wife that well. When he wants to leave, Seo-un asks for Sang-woo's business card. It turns out he is a doctor and he offers counseling for Seo-un. And Hee-Joo also apologizes and says goodbye, because there is an important call from the orphanage and she has to go there. When Mr. Park asks the police about the explosion incident at Seo-un's office, suddenly a trash can explodes outside the building. Mr. Park sees a suspicious man and chases him, and finally the man is caught. The police interrogate the perpetrator of the explosion, but he is not the one who blew up the building where Seo-un works. At the orphanage, Hee-Joo gets the happy news that she was accepted to work as a translator at the presidential office. But Hee-Joo doesn't like it that much, and suddenly she talks about divorce, because her husband hopes she dies. According to her friend, her husband is like that because he still loves Hee-Joo very much, because if a husband and wife want to divorce they are actually indifferent. But Hee-Joo feels she has the right reason to divorce. Hee-Joo's car has been repaired, and when she presses the start button, the car won't start and the garage door is closed. Hee-Joo panics because her car won't open, and the radio suddenly turns on by itself, that there is a caller from number 406 who asked for the song Call Me Now. Hee-Joo is very scared and her breath is short. The security guard opens the garage door and apologizes because he thought Hee-Joo had gone out. Then the car can be started and Hee-Joo gets out of the garage. Arriving at home, Hee-Joo immediately turns on 406's cell phone. Hee-Joo thinks the man knows she kept his cell phone, and suddenly Seo-un comes home and Hee-Joo says she's going to the convenience store. Seo-un returns her cell phone and her cell phone is safe from hacking. When he finds out Hee-Joo wants to buy ice cream and beer, Seo-un takes the initiative to buy it for her. Then Hee-Joo calls him using 406's cell phone. Hee-Joo feels Seo-Un is stalling and underestimating her. Seo-Un is curious about what the caller will actually get if Seo-Un leaves Hee-Joo. What is the caller's purpose in telling Seo-Un to divorce Hee-Joo? And Hee-Joo answers that Seo-Un did not marry her because of love, so it's better to leave her. But Seo-Un feels that the caller threat is only for the good of others. What is the relationship between the caller and his wife? Seo-Un won't follow the caller's wishes because he's just a crazy bastard who kidnaps, blackmails and even threatens with a bomb. And Seo-Un won't divorce her, and then he hangs up. Seo-Un comes home with beer and ice cream for Hee-Joo. Suddenly, he says he won't divorce Hee-Joo and makes Hee-Joo choke. Whether it's because of a scandal or a rumor, she won't stay silent if it worsens his reputation. Then he wipes the beer stains on Hee-Joo's lips while saying Hee-Joo is always careless. Hee-Joo is curious why Seo-Un asked Hee-Joo to work by his side. If she becomes a translator at the presidential office, then the whole world will recognize her face and name. It's better if they look like strangers, but Seo-Un hates that. But he doesn't like what the caller said to be true. He plans that what the caller said is not true. Then Seo-Un goes into Hee-Joo's room and sleeps there. He asks Hee-Joo to lie down because he doesn't bite. Hee-Joo still doesn't move, and Seo-Un thinks Hee-Joo is afraid that he will get on top of her. But Seo-Un feels that if he wanted to, he would have done it a long time ago. Then Seo-Un thinks, is Hee-Joo afraid that she will be the one who gets on top of Seo-Un? Hee-Joo gets annoyed and takes Seo-Un's pillow, and then Seo-Un sleeps facing Hee-Joo. He forbids Hee-Joo to turn away from him because it's rude. Then they both sleep facing each other. Because his office is not safe, Seo-Un thinks his house is not safe either, but tonight he wants Hee-Joo to sleep soundly. Whatever happens when Hee-Joo is kidnapped, just think of it as a nightmare. Likewise with what Hee-Joo heard, forget everything and don't think about it. And when Hee-Joo was asleep, Seo-Un looked at her and then left the room. When Hee-Joo was teenager, she had an accident and her mother cried and was confused about what to do. Why Hee-Joo was safe and unharmed, her mother blamed Hee-Joo, who should have been hurt too. Even when she cried, her mother covered her mouth and forbade her from making a sound. That his biological daughter was deaf and his only son had died, but Hee-Joo survived. And if the chairman was angry, then they would be expelled, so don't say anything. Because she was shocked, her mother asked Hee-Joo to cover her mouth and sacrifices her voice. They will only survive if the chairman feels guilty. That's why right now Hee-Joo pretends not to be able to talk, because her mother forced her like that. The nurse invites Hee-Joo's father to enjoy the air outside the room. She forgot to bring a blanket for Hee-Joo's father, and she went to get the blanket. But suddenly a man approached and pushed Hee-Joo's father's wheelchair. Hee-Joo's father only fell asleep when he was pushed, and the man had a scar on the back of his neck and had different colored eyes. Hee-Joo was confused when her father made a video call. She was even more shocked when she heard a man's voice and not her father's. The man asked for his cell phone. Did Hee-Joo still use it? He knew Hee-Joo took it and he liked what Hee-Joo did. He asked what was the real purpose of Hee-Joo making that call to Seo-Un. Hee-Joo answered a divorce, and the man laughed happily, because he would also be angry if treated like that. So, call Seo-Un and keep calling him because her goal is the same as his. Hee-Joo can keep the phone, and the man shows someone's teeth while telling Hee-Joo to promise not to stop in the middle of the road. Hee-Joo rushes to see her father at the nursing home. The nurse says that her father is not injured. He is currently under anesthesia and asleep. They apologize for being careless leaving her father alone. Then the police show Hee-Joo a tooth, but it doesn't belong to her father. They ask Hee-Joo to come to the police station to make a report. Then her father wakes up and mutters, "Call him miss," and Hee-Joo feels so regret. While in the police car, they are confused because suddenly the car radio turns on by itself. Hee-Joo is very afraid that it was the man's doing, and she also remembers the threats she received. She feels nauseous and the police stop the car on the side of the road. Hee-Joo gets out and vomits. Hee-Joo feels stupid for what she has done. She feels like her life has never been easy. She couldn't do anything, no one in this world was on her side. And suddenly there was a car, escorted by the police. It turned out that the person in the car was Seo-un. He walked over to Hee-Joo and Hee-Joo was surprised by Seo-un's arrival. Seo-un thanked the police for their hard work and then told them to leave. He would come to the police station and make a report. The police were a bit surprised and asked about his relationship with Hee-Joo. And Seo-un answered them that she was family and that Hee-Joo was his wife. Seems like Seo-un is starting to open up to the existence of his wife, Hong Hee-Joo. Before the confession about his wife, Seo-un received a call from the hospital where his father-in-law was being treated. They reported that they could not find his father-in-law, Mr. Nam Jun. And Seo-un's number was registered as an emergency contact, so they contacted him. Because it was a family matter, the president told him to use his car because it was faster and safer. That's why Seo-un came to pick up Hee-Joo with a police escort. After he admitted that Hee-Joo was his wife, he asked the two policemen to keep their personal information confidential for the time being. And the two policemen guaranteed the safety of Seo-un's secret. Seo-un explained that he found out about her father-in-law's incident because the nurse had his number and he planned to transfer her father-in-law to a safer hospital. He couldn't believe that the caller would go this far. From now on, Hee-Joo doesn't need to worry about her father because Seo-un will take care of him. Then Hee-Joo cried so hard that she made a sound, and Seo-un was a bit surprised because Hee-Joo made a sound. Hee-Joo fell silent. She spontaneously cried and accidentally made a sound because maybe she couldn't hold back her sadness anymore. Seo-un didn't tell Hee-Joo to stop crying, so she could cry as much as she wanted, and Hee-Joo cried so hard by making a sound. Yuri met Sang-woo at a food stall. She felt that Sang-woo was there just to try to meet her. But Sang-woo did live in an area near where Yuri worked, in Yeondo. Suddenly, Yuri guessed that Sang-woo had a crush on Hee-Joo and Sang-woo choked in shock when he heard that. That's because Sang-woo once said that he loved one-sidedly, like fans. Then Sang-woo changed the subject and felt that Yuri was the one who liked Seo-un. Then Yuri talked about Seo-un's family, that his family was a famous political family. His grandfather was a high-ranking official who had held all positions except president, while his father was a strong presidential candidate. His family were ministers or former ministers, prosecutors, mayors, and council members. Of course he married the daughter of a famous family, the eldest daughter of Chairman Hong from the Chingwon Daily. Seo-un took Hee-Joo to a hotel and he asked Hee-Joo to wash her face and nose because Hee-Joo had been crying. After washing her face, Hee-Joo tried to focus again. Then Seo-un invited Hee-Joo to sit down and talk. As Hee-Joo knows, lately there has been something bothering them. Hee-Joo's car, Seo-un's office, and even Hee-Joo's father's nursing home. Seo-un still hasn't filed a police report, but if it continues then there's no other choice. If Hee-Joo is the victim, then the police will dig up information, so before that happens, Seo-un asks her to tell what Hee-Joo is hiding. Seo-un could force Hee-Joo to talk, but he doesn't want to because they are not close enough to interfere. Then he tells Hee-Joo to eat before meeting Seo-un's parents and Seo-un meets them first. Because if Hee-Joo meets them, then Hee-Joo will be tense, so don't force herself. When Seo-un gets out of the elevator, it seems like someone is taking pictures of him. Then, he goes into a room where his father and mother are enjoying a meal. His father asks Seo-un to contact Hee-Joo, but Seo-un says that his wife is not feeling well. He asks his father to talk right away, because he only has an hour. It turns out, after eating, Hee-Joo fell asleep and she was shocked after seeing the time. His father asks Seo-un to come, when her father was making a TV show on a special episode of Presidential Candidates. Then Hee-Joo entered the room and her mother-in-law told her to sit down. Other presidential candidates invited their children, daughters-in-law, even dogs and cats, to promote themselves. But her father's only pride was his son, Paik Sa-Eon. And suddenly her father asked about Hee-Joo's older sister, Hong Ina. It seems that his in-laws had no intention of giving up their eldest daughter from the start. They were afraid that he would lose the election, so they gave her disabled daughter as a replacement. Even though she was lowly, Hee-Joo should have been able to prove her worth. Why couldn't she do anything? Then Sa-Eon brought in a camera. It turned out he knew that someone was taking pictures of him. The man was his father's order to make news that spokesperson Paik Sa-Eon had dinner with his father, Paik Yoo-Yeon. Sa-Eon felt that his father was putting too much pressure on him because he would determine his own participation in the election. Coercion, threats and subtle manipulation, don't even think about it. His father got angry and threw a glass and Sa-Eon quickly pulled Hee-Joo so that she wouldn't be hit by the glass. His father threatened Sa-Eon that if he stepped out of his shadow, then Sa-Eon could be completely destroyed. And Sa-Eon knew that his father would be trying to make him give up. But his father can be a presidential candidate because of his grandfather, so at least go through the rest himself. Don't whine and force him to support. And then Sa-Eon and Hee-Joo leave the room. In the elevator, Sa-Eon doesn't want to let go of her hand. He is sure that Hee-Joo wants to divorce him, because she married only as a substitute and can't talk. So Hee-Joo can't defend herself when her in-laws are ranting. But Sa-Eon comforts her that they can replace their children easily, so don't listen to them. Hee-Joo gets a video call from her friends. They give their support, because Hee-Joo will take the test to become a translator at the presidential office. And Sa-Eon will also support Hee-Joo. But Hee-Joo is still worried that if she passes then their family will know. Then Sa-Eon asks how long she wants to live as an obedient child. Isn't she sick of always obeying others? This is the right time to prove that Hee-Joo is useful. Mr. Park submits a report on Sang-woo that there are many videos on his channel about unsolved cases related to arson and bombs. It seems that he is very knowledgeable about explosions and arson. Then recently, he appeared on a crime report on one of the TV stations, HBC. It was a crime mystery show. Hee-Joo took a selection test to become a translator at the presidential office. This was a practical test and they had to translate from a video recording. It turned out that it was a video of Sa-Eon doing a press conference and Hee-Joo seemed to have memorized the contents of the news. She did sign language and it turned out that Sa-Eon was monitoring her from inside his office. He watched it with concentration and then he called his coworker. Suddenly, he entered the selection room and told Hee-Joo to answer his questions. He was curious if Hee-Joo already knew the script because Hee-Joo translated it before he even spoke. Hee-Joo replied that it was her practice video. Then Sa-Eon would play another video and Hee-Joo translated it. Sa-Eon watched it seriously and changing other videos, but Hee-Joo can still translate them fluently. Sa-Eon feels that Hee-Joo practiced with all those videos and why is she so familiar with all the videos? That's because Hee-Joo practiced a lot with his videos, even though the videos were chosen randomly, without caring about the year. But her hands move along with Sa-Eon's voice. Is that a coincidence? And Hee-Joo answers, she's like that, because she's crazy and the people in the room smile. Hee-Joo is obsessed with Sa-Eon's direction because she dreams of becoming a sign language interpreter for a government agency, so she practices excessively. She studies a lot about how Sa-Eon's upper lip and upper teeth move when determining the point of articulation. She can guess the consonants from the sounds his tongue makes on the roof of his mouth, so her hands can be faster when guessing, and she imitates, practices and deepens it. But Seo-eun doesn't like it because Hee-Joo can't talk. How will she communicate with the spokesperson team? Then Hee-Joo answered, she would teach sign language, because Seo-eun had to be able to sign language, to know if the translator was conveying the message well. So, Seo-eun could communicate more easily with Hee-Joo. Then Seo-eun wanted to test it again. He would read a document that she had never seen before. And Hee-Joo practiced it very well, and it turned out that Seo-eun talked about a married couple. The two of them had lived together without being able to open up to each other. Would the situation be different if they were more honest in showing their feelings? If they only tried now, would they be able to live like other couples? But today it's like a mind game. The couple are still investigating each other. Ironically, their behavior turns out to be very similar. After that, Seo-eun feels that's enough, so he ends it. Hee-Joo visits her father, who has moved to a hospital. His room is wider and more comfortable. Hee-Joo apologizes to her father and that the incident will not happen again. When Hee-Joo asks about the gift on the table, suddenly her father says this, don't worry about that, no matter what happens, Dad will protect Hee-Joo. Hearing that, Hee-Joo guesses that Seo-eun is visiting her father. At the same time, Seo-eun is very warm, but also cold, very cruel, but also kind. Hee-Joo thinks she knows him well, but it seems she was wrong. When Seo-eun was a teenager, there was a party and the dish was sushi. It seemed Seo-eun didn't like the dish. Then her mother brought food to Seo-eun, because it was impolite not to eat what was served. And Seo-eun was forced to eat it, then he threw it up again. She saw Hee-Joo, who was forbidden to eat by her mother, even though she was hungry. When Hee-Joo takes the leftover food, Seo-eun pulls her hand and invites her to exchange food with him. Hee-Joo is very happy and eats the food with gusto. A beautiful woman is seen at the airport. It turns out she is Hong Aina, Hee-Joo's older sister. And Hee-Joo gets a notification from social media showing that Aina is already in Korea. In the past, Hee-Joo was forced to replace Aina to marry Seo-eun. Her mother was blinded because her in-laws were presidential candidates, so she forced her to get married. When giving the wedding ring to Hee-Joo, Seo-eun said that if the owner returned, Hee-Joo had to return the ring. Hee-Joo called Seo-eun again using 406's cell phone. Previously, Seo-eun had asked what she would get if he got rid of Hee-Joo, and Hee-Joo answered that Seo-eun would get Aina. Because from the start Seo-eun and his family wanted Aina. Hee-Joo is just a puppet, so quickly fix Hee-Joo as soon as possible. According to Seo-eun, 406 didn't know anything. Before Aina disappeared, the person she met before the wedding was Seo-eun. They had made an agreement, and because of that agreement, Aina would never be able to become Seo-eun's wife. Hee-Joo was very surprised and just found out. Suddenly Seo-eun pressed the door password and Hee-Joo was shocked and hid her phone in the cupboard. Seo-eun thought Hee-Joo was asleep after a hard day. Seo-eun informed that he would attend Changwon's daily birthday party tomorrow. Hee-Joo was confused whether Seo-eun actually knew that his sister had returned to Korea. Changwon's daily birthday party was held. The chairman and Seo-eun's father cut the cake side by side. Hee-Joo came alone to the event and her mother asked her to follow her. Her mother asked about her father because he was suddenly transferred to the hospital. Then Hee-Joo answered that Seo-eun was the one who transferred him, and her mother was shocked because Seo-eun knew about Hee-Joo's father. Hee-Joo felt that her mother was only worried about the chairman, but not her father. Her mother didn't care about him, and then her mother took off Hee-Joo's jacket and made her dress look sexy. Ina's friends were in the toilet and discussed about Ina, who didn't come to the party. She had never appeared in public after getting married, and now her position is very important because she will become a daughter-in-law president. They think Ina's sister is weird because she seeks attention. She comes to the party and follows Ina like a shadow. It turns out that Hee-Joo is in the toilet and hears their conversation. Hee-Joo sees Seo-Un surrounded by women. She takes a drink and goes upstairs. Then she calls Seo-Un using 406 cell phone. Because he doesn't pick up for a long time, Hee-Joo feels that he doesn't care about Hee-Joo or 406. Then Seo-Un picks up the phone and tells her to talk. His fiancée disappeared the day before the wedding and Hee-Joo appears as a replacement. Seo-Un must be unhappy. Who else would accept Hee-Joo, because Hee-Joo is quite gloomy. She's not good at socializing. She's just an extra page included with Ina. She hates rich families, but is comforted by luxury. She's a coward who kneels to money. But Seo-Un feels that Hee-Joo isn't gloomy. She likes to observe her surroundings. People are rude to her first, which makes her not want to socialize. And she also doesn't kneel to money. She only loves her mother. There are times when Seo-Un hates eating and talking with his mouth. He is surrounded by greedy, noisy and troublesome people. Somehow when he looks at Hee-Joo, he can breathe a sigh of relief. And Hee-Joo is not an additional page, but a completely new language. She repeats the same hand gesture until she becomes herself, so don't call her wife like that. But Hee-Joo is sad. Why does Seo-Un treat Hee-Joo like she's invisible? Why did Seo-Un forbid Hee-Joo to think that they were a couple? Suddenly Seo-Un arrived at the top of the building and saw Hee-Joo holding a cell phone. They were both shocked and looked at each other. It seems that Seo-Un knows that Hee-Joo is the caller 406. Previously Seo-Un came to the police station to make a report when Hee-Joo's father was kidnapped. They were relieved to know that Seo-Un's wife was fine, because that day she was very shocked. They thought his wife had a panic attack because her face was pale and she was screaming loudly. Seo-Un was shocked and couldn't believe it when he found out that Hee-Joo was screaming. Then they gave the car dashboard recording and it was seen that Hee-Joo was panicking, talking and screaming loudly, wanting to get out of the car. Knowing that, Seo-Un was very sad and frustrated. How can someone who can talk pretend not to be able to talk for a very long time? How sad is his wife's life all this time? How will Seo-Un be after finding out that his wife is the caller who bothered him and also his wife is not mute? Seo-Un still remembers the incident when Hee-Joo actually could talk. It turns out, he saw when her mother scolded Hee-Joo before and he waited for her mother to ask why Hee-Joo couldn't talk. Her mother still explained that Hee-Joo was in shock during an accident. But according to Seo-Un, selective mutism occurs when someone doesn't talk due to psychological factors. Isn't it strange if she's like that for more than 20 years? Her mother gave reason that maybe because her guilt was so big, she lost her younger sibling and her older sibling became deaf. And her mother became curious why Seo-Un suddenly asked about that. Seo-Un reminded her mother that Hee-Joo was his wife, so don't treat her carelessly.
우리 희주 챙기는 거야?
When Seo-Un was surrounded by women, he saw Hee-Joo and followed her. But suddenly his father-in-law called him and asked when he would join his father's presidential campaign. But Seo-Un has not given an answer to his father-in-law, and at that time Hee-Joo called him with 406 number. And when answering the phone from Hee-Joo, he saw the maid carrying Hee-Joo's jacket, which she found in the toilet. Seo-Un took the jacket and saw Hee-Joo holding a cell phone on her ears. Hee-Joo was shocked to see Seo-Un and immediately hid the cell phone. She became nervous and almost fell, but Seo-un immediately caught her.
괜찮아?
Seo-un was angry. Why Hee-Joo climbed the fence? Did she intend to commit suicide? Hee-Joo didn't answer him, but suddenly she made a hiccup sound and she immediately covered her mouth. Then Seo-un was curious why Hee-Joo was holding the cell phone to her ear. She asked Hee-Joo to make a sound like before, hiccup or whatever. But Hee-Joo just kept quiet and didn't make a sound. Then Seo-un put on the jacket he brought. After Hee-Joo left, Seo-un got a call from Mr. Park saying that 406 phone was successfully traced. And that person was in Sogongdong, the hotel where Seo-un was currently at. At first glance, Seo-un thought that 406 was Hee-Joo and then he chased after Hee-Joo. It turned out that Hee-Joo returned to the party and Seo-un saw her sitting there. Then Seo-un asked Mr. Park to ask for a list of the guests who were present and he also asked him to unravel the sound as soon as possible. When he got home, Seo-un suddenly saw a scar from when Hee-Joo was little. At that time, she was almost bitten by a dog, but she didn't scream at all. How can a child hold back her screams? Seo-un wants to know how long Hee-Joo can hold it in. Hee-Joo as a teenager really wants to be a news anchor, and when she is practicing, her mother suddenly comes and scolds her. Because she has to keep pretending that she can't be a news anchor, so she won't be able to be a news anchor. As soon as Hee-Joo talks in front of Aina, Hee-Joo and her mother will be thrown out of the house. Hee-Joo cries and runs out of the house, but in front of her is a fierce dog, and when the dog almost bites her, Seo-un comes and the dog goes away. He says that Hee-Joo has to fight the dog or her mother, older sibling, or whoever it is. Even if that person is a parent or family, there is always a chance for revenge. Then Seo-un asks her to get on his back because her knee is scratched. Hee-Joo just obeys when Seo-un forces her, and they both see the sky, which is as red as Hee-Joo's cheeks at that time. Hee-Joo and Seo-un both can't sleep in their respective rooms. Suddenly Seo-un wakes up and knocks on Hee-Joo's room. He feels that Hee-Joo has been tricked. Why Hee-Joo has been deceiving him for 20 years. At least while living with him, Hee-Joo doesn't need to hide that she can talk. But Hee-Joo still doesn't talk and types on her phone that everyone has secrets. She asks back, isn't Seo-un hiding something from her? And it turns out that it was just Seo-un's imagination. Mr. Kong gives information about the results of the sign language interpreter recruitment, and when he says it, Seo-un just stays silent and closes his eyes. That makes Mr. Kong feel like he didn't make his boss happy with his abilities. He then apologizes for making him uncomfortable, but actually Seo-un is satisfied with the results and asks for a break. In the toilet, Mr. Kong calls his wife. He confides because his boss feels like he doesn't care about him. And it turns out that Seo-un is in the toilet and hears his conversation with his wife. Then he tells Mr. Kong to talk to him, and of course Mr. Kong is a bit worried and scared. Suddenly Seo-un asks if Mr. Kong always tells everything to his wife. Are there no secrets between husband and wife? And Mr. Kong replied that it seems like there isn't, but sometimes a husband has to pretend not to know if it's a small problem so that there is room to breathe. Because it's suffocating if a husband is fussy and criticizes many things, even though it's difficult because Seo-un is a perfect person. But according to Mr. Kong, marriage requires effort. Hee-Joo and her friends are waiting for the results of the recruitment of translators from the presidential office. And the results is that Hee-Joo passed. Her friends is surprised and happy, but Hee-Joo was silent and her eyes were teary. Then her friend told Hee-Joo to contact her family about this good news. Hee-Joo herself was confused about who she should contact and she sent a message to Seo-un. But she had difficulty putting her words, and suddenly she accidentally sent a love emoticon to Seo-un. And Seo-un was surprised to see the emoticon making her unable to concentrate on attending the meeting. Suddenly she agreed to go on an outing with his office colleagues and also stay overnight together. Seo-eun herself was confused about how to answer the emoticon sent by her wife, and Hee-Joo felt that her fingers were very stupid. It would be strange if she deleted it, and she couldn't read Seo-eun's reply. And it turned out that Seo-eun congratulated her for passing. Seo-eun sent a boutique address and wanted Hee-Joo to go there. Then Hee-Joo came to the boutique and there was a staff showing various kinds of office suits. The presidential spokesman's office called her and told her to prepare suitable clothes for Hee-Joo. And at the same time, Aina also came to the boutique and looked at their collection. She tried on one of the dresses there and Hee-Joo also tried on a suit. Suddenly Seo-eun was behind her and said that the suit suited her. Then Seo-eun told Hee-Joo to try on the same dress that Aina tried on, and Aina seemed to hear Seo-eun's voice. While on the way, Hee-Joo told Seo-eun that the blue dress didn't suit her. Then Seo-eun told Hee-Joo to try on another dress. And when she saw Hee-Joo trying on the dress, Seo-eun was speechless because Hee-Joo was so beautiful. Seo-eun said that underestimating herself is a bad habit and Seo-eun wants to stop her bad habit. And at that time Aina turned out to see them from outside the store. Sang-woo sent a message to Hee-Joo and congratulated her for passing the sign language interpreter test, and he invited her to have dinner with Yuri too. Seo-eun read her chat and he wanted to join in the dinner. They gathered together to congratulate Hee-Joo. Sang-woo asked why Hee-Joo and Seo-eun can be together, and Seo-eun gave reason that tonight Hee-Joo actually wants to treat him to dinner. Sang-woo feels strange why Hee-Joo suddenly wants to treat Seo-eun to dinner. He thinks there must be something there. Sang-woo also asked why now Hee-Joo is a sign language interpreter team at the presidential office. Doesn't Hee-Joo actually have a dream, and Hee-Joo's dream is to become a news anchor? Seo-eun is confused why Sang-woo is discussing Hee-Joo's dream, because now Hee-Joo is working as a sign language interpreter. He is afraid that it will affect Hee-Joo and make her confused. Hee-Joo with her hand gestures immediately tells Seo-eun and Sang-woo to stop arguing. Hee-Joo explains that it is true that becoming a news anchor is her dream. However, she also enjoys working as a sign language interpreter, and this should not be a problem. After that, Hee-Joo goes outside to get some fresh air. At that time she suddenly gets a message from Aina and she asking how she is. Because he is worried, Seo-eun then follows Hee-Joo out. At that time, Seo-eun sees two small children, siblings, passing in front of him. He immediately remembers when Seo-eun was little, he often came to Aina's house and Hee-Joo to study together. Aina, who is deaf, can't hear what Seo-eun says, so Hee-Joo always translates it for Aina. Even though as a rich person Aina could have bought a hearing aid or learned sign language like Hee-Joo. And at that time, Seo-eun said rudely to Aina, but Hee-Joo translated the opposite to Aina and Seo-eun was suspicious of it. Seo-eun's daydream stopped when he got a call from 406 aka his own wife. Because Seo-eun was called by 406, Seo-eun then asked if 406 had ever heard Hee-Joo's voice. Does 406 know why Hee-Joo can't talk? Seo-eun then remembered her mother-in-law's words, if maybe Hee-Joo's guilt was too big that she didn't want to talk. Is his wife unable to talk because of Aina? Because the accident caused Hong Aina, the biological daughter of Hong's chairman, to become deaf, Hee-Joo was forced to keep her mouth shut and not allowed to talk. 406 aka Hee-Joo didn't want to explain this. She only asked if Seo-eun really didn't want to let go of Hee-Joo if Aina had returned to Korea. Seo-eun replied that she would not change, and why did Hee-Joo? Was it because she sympathized with Hee-Joo? Seo-eun then wanted to tell 406 how he really felt about Hee-Joo. But suddenly when she was crossing the road, a car drove towards him. And at that time Hee-Joo, who was across the road, immediately shouted Seo-eun's name and then saved him. Luckily they were both fine, it was just that her hand is a little hurt. Seo-eun warns Hee-Joo to be careful, because now Hee-Joo works using her hands. Actually, where did Hee-Joo come from? She is so strong that she can knock Seo-eun down. And Seo-eun remembers that Hee-Joo called his name earlier. He wants Hee-Joo to call him again. Seo-eun wants to hear his wife's voice again. The world will not collapse if Hee-Joo speaks. So say all the things that she has kept to herself. In the new office, Hee-Joo and the other staff introduce themselves, and when Hee-Joo introduces herself, she uses sign language that is not easy to understand. They have difficulty communicating. If Hee-Joo uses sign language, then Seo-eun says that he will learn sign language to find out the accuracy of the news delivered. And that makes them feel that if the spokesperson can also use sign language, it will increase their popularity in the presidential office. Finally, Seo-eun learns sign language with Hee-Joo. Then Hee-Joo tells Seo-eun to learn one word or sentence every day. Seo-eun starts writing down what that he wanted to learn, and Hee-Joo told him how. The presidential office held a dinner for the staff. Suddenly Seo-eun skillfully grilled meat for them and amazed them. They really liked the meat that Seo-eun grilled, because it was perfectly cooked. That night was fun, until Seo-eun was called out by Mr. Park. And Hee-Joo apparently got a call from the kidnapper. It turned out to be the man who tried to hit Seo-eun at that time. The man felt that Hee-Joo changed her mind and didn't divorce her husband, because she had saved him. He wanted Hee-Joo to divorce him, because he wanted to see Seo-eun destroyed. He felt that Hee-Joo didn't know Seo-eun at all. In this world, he was the only one who knew Seo-eun well, and he reminded Hee-Joo to end her relationship immediately, because she didn't have much time.
언니야 정체.
Mr. Park reported that if he had obtained the original and correct voice analysis, the voice came from a woman. Seo-eun couldn't believe that the person who had been threatening him was a woman. He also remembered that the kidnapper who had contacted him knew about Hee-Joo and was always surrounding there. Not to mention, he also once caught Hee-Joo on the phone. Is it true that Hee-Joo was 406 all this time? To be more certain, Seo-eun will also send an audio of a woman's voice and ask Mr. Park to match it. Because he keeps thinking about it, Seo-eun drinks a lot and ends up drunk and is forced to be driven by a replacement driver. When she gets home, Hee-Joo finds her husband still in the car and asleep. Hee-Joo tries to wake him up, but Seo-eun doesn't wake up. Then Hee-Joo carries Seo-eun into the house. And because Seo-eun's body is heavy, they both fall, and when they fall, Hee-Joo's lips land right on Seo-eun's lips. An accident happened when Hee-Joo, Aina, and Eugene were in the car. Aina and Eugene were unconscious, while Hee-Joo did not suffer serious injuries, maybe because she was sitting in the middle. The medical staff only took Aina and Eugene, while Hee-Joo remained in the car. Her screams were not loud enough. While being treated, her mother asked her to throw away her voice so that the Hong family would take pity on her and not throw her out. Hee-Joo felt sorry, because she could not refuse her mother's orders, and she pretended to be mute until now. Now, when Hee-Joo had an accident, there was Seo-eun who helped her. When no one cared about her, Seo-eun saw her. When Hee-Joo felt scared, Seo-eun was the one who ran to save her. Even though Hee-Joo didn't say anything, even though she didn't scream for help, only Seo-eun heard her. But why couldn't she say it, that she liked Seo-eun? Finally, Hee-Joo came to her senses, knowing that Seo-eun wanted to call a doctor, but Hee-Joo held his hand so he wouldn't go. She wanted Seo-eun to accompany her, and Seo-eun did it. He reassured Hee-Joo that Hee-Joo was safe now. He guarded Hee-Joo and kissed Hee-Joo's hand so that Hee-Joo would feel safe. Seo-eun's father was informed that there was an accident while the presidential staff was on a hiking trip. The one who had the accident was the new sign language interpreter at the presidential office. At first Seo-eun's father was very angry because there must be someone who was happy because of the accident. But his assistant didn't think so. Maybe it wasn't a disaster. Instead of being the presidential spokesperson, what if he emphasized that Seo-eun was his son and someone wanted to bring him down during this political season? During the examination, Hee-Joo felt regret because she spoke to Seo-eun. During the phone call, Seo-eun seemed to be talking to her, not to 406. Seo-eun wasn't stupid, so it was impossible for him not to know. But why was he silent? Was it because Hee-Joo was currently being treated? So once she gets home, Seo-eun will file for divorce, and for violating the contract, Hee-Joo will be fined 2 billion won. Then she remembers where she put the 406 phone. Mr. Park has checked all the CCTVs while hiking yesterday, but he did not find any footage of suspicious people, and there was no CCTV installed at the scene either. Seo-eun asked Mr. Park to keep the victim, Hee-Joo, a secret. It seems like they were targeting Seo-eun, but failed, and Hee-Joo became the victim. Then Mr. Park gave Hee-Joo's cell phone to Seo-eun. It turns out there is a malicious code that can track locations via cell phones or others. So when they go on an office outing, they can track where Seo-eun and Hee-Joo are. If Seo-eun hacks the code and collects the data, then he can find them, and Mr. Park will try to find the code.
수고했습니다.
After that, Hee-Joo returned to the patient's room, but she was silent again in front of Seo-eun, even though she had previously spoken very fluently. Without saying anything, Seo-eun immediately carried Hee-Joo, and he suddenly said he liked Hee-Joo. He liked feeling her heartbeat. Seo-eun actually already knew that Hee-Joo could talk. He actually knew more about Hee-Joo than Hee-Joo thought. Then Seo-eun discussed about 406 who had told him the location when Hee-Joo fell, so that Seo-eun could find Hee-Joo. Now Seo-eun is confused whether he should arrest and imprison 406 or just forgive her. Actually, Seo-eun wanted to ask Hee-Joo a lot of things, but he didn't. He just wanted his wife to rest. Seo-eun also asked permission to go out and ask Hee-Joo to contact him if anything happened. Hearing Hee-Joo no longer nod, but say, made Seo-eun hold back his smile.
다녀올게.
When Seo-eun left, Hee-Joo then checked her bag and found the cell phone. Hee-Joo felt strange because Seo-eun didn't find the cell phone. Even though Hee-Joo used the cell phone to get away from Seo-eun, but now the cell phone is a connection with him. While doing body care, the staff told Hee-Joo's mother that her daughter was also there. Her mother immediately met her daughter and felt that now her daughter listened to her to do body care. She thought her son-in-law must have changed because Hee-Joo wears the lingerie she gave her. But it turns out she's not Hee-Joo, but her other daughter, Hong Aina. Seo-eun's father is seeking public sympathy by saying that the tragedy experienced by Seo-eun is because he is a presidential candidate and many people are targeting his beloved son. Because of Seo-eun's father's behavior, the presidential spokesman's office is flooded with calls asking for the truth of the news. For that reason, Seo-eun told the staff in his office not to respond too much to calls from the media until the official report was released. He also wanted the identity of the victim, Hee-Joo, to be kept secret from the public, but Mr. Kong felt it was too much. However, even though Hee-Joo is a new staff, they care and worry about her condition. Then Seo-eun explains that Hee-Joo's condition has improved and she will finish what his father has done. Meanwhile, Aina chats with Hee-Joo's mother, her stepmother. Her mother did not expect that Aina could speak fluently now. It turns out that Aina had surgery abroad. Aina tells her stepmother to stay calm because her arrival was not to seize Hee-Joo's position as Seo-eun's wife. Her arrival was only to help Hee-Joo and reveal who Seo-eun really is. She also knows that her stepmother was the one who sent a hint for her to run away before the wedding day. But her stepmother feels that she never sent anything to Aina, and she doesn't care about what Aina does, because Aina doesn't know anything about Seo-eun.
뭐가 더 남은 거예요?
Seo-un comes to her father's office, which has made a commotion with a touching drama. His father tells Seo-un not to go out of line, but according to Seo-un, he was the one who went out of line first. He asks his father to stop, so as not to be attacked back. Her father felt that his son was ungrateful. He thought, who gave him that name? It seems that Seo-un was forced to become Seo-un, because his mother forced him to do what her previous son did. Somehow Seo-un was forced to accept it. Even though he actually didn't want all that, he was fed up with getting that title and called them father and mother. His father was curious about who the employee who had the accident was, and Seo-un answered that she was his family. His father guessed that she was Hee-Joo, a new translator at the presidential office. His father couldn't understand why Seo-un hid Hee-Joo at the presidential office. But Seo-un was happy, because Hee-Joo entered the presidential office first, compared to his father who was currently running for president. Hee-Joo woke up after a nightmare and thought about how the kidnapper could be on the mountain and pushed her. Then she was surprised by the sound of her cell phone, which turned out to be a message from Seo-un. He asked if there was anything Hee-Joo wanted to eat, because he was on his way to hospital. Hee-Joo answered that she wanted tteokbokki, but Seo-un forbade her because it was spicy. She then chose fried chicken, and according to Seo-un it was oily. Hee-Joo replaced it with something sweet, but Seo-un was worried that her blood sugar would rise. Hee-Joo finally just told him to come immediately. Arriving at the hospital, Seo-un brought great for Hee-Joo's health. Seeing Seo-un bringing his own equipment, Hee-Joo was surprised when she found out that Seo-un would stay overnight at the hospital. She thought all sorts of things until Seo-un would sleep on her bed or sleep on the sofa. Seo-un then told Hee-Joo to take a shower with him. It turned out that it wasn't a shower together, but Seo-un helped Hee-Joo wash her hair. Seo-un patiently dried Hee-Joo's hair and combed it neatly. He knew Hee-Joo felt awkward, but as a husband, he should have done things like this for his wife. He regretted seeing Hee-Joo hurt while he was not by her side. He told Hee-Joo to rest, but Hee-Joo felt hot and cold even though her examination was all normal. When Seo-un finished taking a shower, he approached Hee-Joo as if he wanted to kiss her and made Hee-Joo nervous, even though he just wanted to take the remote.
잠이...
Hee-Joo woke up, but she didn't see Seo-un. Then Hee-Joo called him, but Seo-un sent a message that he was waiting for a call from someone. Then Hee-Joo called him using number 406, and Seo-un felt happy because he was waiting for her call. Seo-un said that he actually knew a lot about her, that 406 was a woman around 20 years old. Seo-un also felt that she was a beautiful woman, and Seo-un was also curious about what clothes she was wearing. Seo-un imagined that her physical appearance was as gentle as her voice with a fiery personality. Hee-Joo couldn't believe it. She thought Seo-un was teasing her even though he was married. Seo-un explained that his wife was currently sleeping and Seo-un wanted to make an offer to her. Let's work together to catch the culprit, because he knew 406 was not the one who pushed his wife. When Hee-Joo falling, Seo-un tries her best to find Hee-Joo, and he is determined to catch the perpetrator to avenge his wife's pain. So he asks 406 to tell him everything she knows.
싹다.
There is a breaking news on the TV station, where Yoo Ri is the news anchor, that the presidential office stated that the accident that befell one of the office staff was not an ordinary accident, but a crime. Seo-un confesses to the police that he is the victim and he has been receiving threats for 2 weeks. She also said that this attack was not a political attack on her or her father as a presidential candidate. He asked the public not to speculate. He also asked for police protection, and a sketch of the suspect's face was also revealed to the public. It turned out that previously Hee-Joo gave the facial features of the person who attacked her. That the suspect was in his 30s, about 185 centimeters tall, and had a sturdy body. He had heterochromia, one eye was light brown, when exposed to light. He smelled fishy and stuttered when provoked. It seemed like he had anger management problems. It is possible that he was good at threatening, hacking, making bombs and arson. It is possible that the suspect had a partner, because he is someone who could hack a car to threaten. The news of the kidnapping and terror threats experienced by the presidential spokesman was also heard by the real kidnapper. He was annoyed and immediately sent a message to someone that the person was the one who pushed Hee-Joo, but why was his face revealed to the public? Moreover, why did that person want to kill Hee-Joo, even though their target was Seo-Un? The kidnapper's partner said it was because Hee-Joo didn't want to divorce and he wanted Seo-Un to feel what it was like to lose something that precious. For that, the kidnapper's colleague ordered to immediately take their cell phones that were in Hee-Joo's hands. Hee-Joo got a call from an unknown number, but because she was afraid she didn't pick it up. Then she got a message and it was a message from the kidnapper. The kidnapper explained that the characteristics she mentioned were not the kidnapper. Maybe Hee-Joo didn't believe it, but it wasn't him who pushed her, and because she had broken off the relationship, Hee-Joo had to return his cell phone. Suddenly he said that he was there and asked her to open the door. Hee-Joo immediately panicked. She didn't realize that her phone was pulled from her hand. Hee-Joo immediately ran to hold the door and suddenly someone was banging on the door from outside. Hee-Joo was so scared that she couldn't stand and could only sit while cover her ears. It turned out that the one who was banging on the door was Seo-Un. He panicked and forced the door to open. When Seo-Un opened the door, he saw Hee-Joo was scared and Hee-Joo immediately hugged Seo-Un and cried. Seeing Hee-Joo's bleeding hand, Seo-Un calls the nurse. When Hee-Joo has calmed down, Seo-Un accompanies Hee-Joo. Seo-Un asks what happened, but Hee-Joo doesn't answer. She's worried about Seo-Un because there is a lot of news that corners him. Because Hee-Joo feels scared, Seo-Un climbs into the bed and they sleep together. Seo-Un asks Hee-Joo not to worry and just sleep soundly tonight. Hee-Joo wakes up and she takes her cell phone and jacket, then goes out of the room. It turns out she sat outside to call Seo-Un using 406 cell phone. After seeing the news, Hee-Joo wants to know when Seo-Un will catch her. Because she was the one who helped the kidnapper, so she must be punished or investigated too. In addition, when will Seo-Un take this cell phone, because this is important evidence. Hee-Joo is willing to give the cell phone and Seo-Un is curious about how Hee-Joo will give it to him. Hee-Joo says that she will meet him and give the cell phone now. Hee-Joo walks to her room and when she opens the door, she doesn't find Seo-Un. Then Hee-Joo called him again and Seo-Un wanted to meet her somewhere. Seo-Un pointed to a place, namely the amusement park, a place that should not be heard by the Hong family. Because after leaving that place, Hee-Joo, Eugene and also Ina had an accident. Then Seo-Un told her to go to the carousel, but when she got there Hee-Joo met a woman who invited her to ride the carousel. Hee-Joo got on, while remembering when she used to ride with Ina and Eugene. Then Seo-Un called her and told Hee-Joo to go to the ice cream shop, but Seo-Un wasn't there either and Hee-Joo ate ice cream alone. Then Seo-Un told Hee-Joo to go to the place in front of her right now. It was Namsan Tower. Hee-Joo was confused about what Seo-Un was doing. Why was he always not present at the promised place? It turned out that Seo-Un wanted to make Hee-Joo relax. He didn't want to meet her in a tense state. But Hee-Joo felt that Seo-Un would be surprised and disappointed when he met her. Actually Hee-Joo was worried when she saw Seo-Un knowing that 406 was his wife who had threatened him. Suddenly Seo-Un was near Hee-Joo and Hee-Joo cried when she saw him and dropped her phone. Seo-Un thanked 406 and Hee-Joo was surprised that Seo-Un already knew that. But why didn't Seo-Un hate her? Seo-Un asked how to hate Hee-Joo, how not to love her. Hee-Joo couldn't hold back her tears because they actually loved each other. After the confession of love, they tried to leave a household as a real husband and wife. Seo-un became a house husband who was ready to serve Hee-Joo well. He even made kimchi fried rice with eggs for her. Hee-Joo really liked the fried rice cooked by her husband, and she was curious about how her husband could be good at cooking. Seo-un only answered that what was needed in cooking was sincerity. He invited Hee-Joo that from now on, they should always eat together at home, so that this household would feel alive. Hee-Joo felt that during the 3 years of marriage, their house was really cold, they didn't eat together, didn't talk and even slept, were separated. Seo-un smiled hearing that. He immediately asked Hee-Joo if Hee-Joo wanted that. Hee-Joo became embarrassed by Seo-un's question. Actually, Seo-un felt that their house was warm. Every time he came home and saw the lights on, he felt happy because Hee-Joo was home. When he saw Hee-Joo, the world that was noisy all day became quiet and peaceful. Previously, Seo-un had asked Hee-Joo not to keep her feelings for him. Actually, Seo-un was afraid if he didn't limit it like that, he was afraid that he would give his heart to Hee-Joo, and felt that living with Hee-Joo was not bad, then let go of everything and collapse. Hee-Joo was curious about what plan he said at that time. Seo-un felt that now was not the right time to answer that.
기가 있어.
Then Hee-Joo showed her husband a message from an unknown number. Seo-un would track the cell phone number, and for cell phone 406 only they knew it. Seo-un would not hand it over to the police. He would sort it out one by one, so Hee-Joo just wait and do nothing. For the time being, don't talk in front of people other than Seo-un, because her accomplices must be around them, so before the perpetrator is caught they have to be careful. Seo-un feels disappointed because he has to end the call from 406. He teases Hee-Joo by looking for lingerie that she used to wear. But they end up hugging and Hee-Joo doesn't believe it because Seo-un forgives and accepts her. Actually, Seo-un is still worried whether Hee-Joo can do the same thing when she knows everything about Seo-un. Meanwhile, the kidnapper still can't take the cell phone in Hee-Joo's hand. His colleague keeps forcing him to take the cell phone because it is very important evidence for them. The kidnapper also said when he was in the same elevator with Seo-un, he smelled Seo-un's body odor. It wasn't just the cell phone that he wanted to take, but he wanted to take everything including Seo-un's scent. When watching the news on TV about the characteristics of the person who threatened Seo-un, her mother felt something was strange. She became nervous. Because the conditions seemed to corner Seo-un's father, her husband's assistant asked if they would cancel the interview. And her mother said that they would still do the interview. Hee-Joo woke up and looked for Seo-un in his room, but she didn't find Seo-un. Then Hee-Joo called him, but there was no answer. Hee-Joo was very scared that something would happen to her husband, and it turned out to be a dream. She immediately woke up and looked for her husband in his room, and she saw Seo-un still sleeping. She stared at him and stroked her husband, and that made Seo-un wake up. When Hee-Joo wanted to leave, Seo-un pulled her hand and Hee-Joo slept next to Seo-un. Hee-Joo asked if Seo-un wasn't working. It turned out that today Seo-un had applied for leave. He just wanted to be home today. For the past 3 years, he has worked every day, and only now has he applied for leave. Actually, several times Hee-Joo had fantasized that the two of them would do things that they had never imagined before. They were like ordinary people and did things like other people did. Even though every day Hee-Joo always wanted to divorce Seo-un and leave the house, Hee-Joo started to fantasize since Seo-un admitted that Hee-Joo was his wife. Hee-Joo didn't expect Seo-un to say that. Actually, Seo-un fantasized before that. But Seo-un didn't say when it was and just hugged Hee-Joo tightly. Mr. Park has finished tracing back 406 phone and has found its location. Because he's worried, Mr. Park wanted to accompany Seo-un, but he didn't want to. He just wanted Mr. Park not to contact the police. Hee-Joo's mother came and said that she knew who was behind the threats to Seo-un. Who else, if not Hong Aina, because she was the one who knew about their marriage. Soon the election and everything went smoothly and she came to mess it up. Her mother was shocked because Hee-Joo had found out that Ina was in Korea, and at that time Hee-Joo got a message. It was a message from the kidnapper. He wanted to tell her who her husband really was. He also sent a video to Hee-Joo. Sang-woo sent a message to Hee-Joo because he hadn't heard from her for a long time. And Hee-Joo replied and asked him to meet, and they met. Sang-woo was curious why Hee-Joo asked him to meet her and came to the orphanage. It turned out that Hee-Joo was discussing the case of the missing orphanage children that he was reviewing on the program with Yuri. Meanwhile, Seo-eun had arrived at the location where the kidnapper was. The place was an uninhabited villa. And Seo-eun found a video of a television show that the kidnapper also sent to Hee-Joo. On the screen it was also written that Seo-eun was the perpetrator. He was a murderer. If you pay attention in the video, there was writing underneath about the kidnapping case of the orphanage children. At that time, Hee-Joo and Sang-woo also came to the villa that Seo-eun came to, but they were still in the car. Sang-woo said that the orphanage children who came to this villa never came out again. Sang-woo was curious why Hee-Joo asked that. Did Hee-Joo know something? Previously Seo-eun also asked the same thing, and Sang-woo thought it seemed like Hee-Joo and Seo-eun were very caring. Sang-woo suggested to come tomorrow again because it was already dark. And at that time Seo-eun saw Hee-Joo in the same car as Sang-woo. Then Seo-eun immediately contacted Hee-Joo, but because Sang-woo was beside her, she couldn't pick up the phone. Sang-woo then told Hee-Joo to pick up the phone because he actually knew Hee-Joo could talk. It turned out that Seo-eun was behind their car and honked at them. Because Sang-woo didn't stop his car, Seo-eun immediately blocked Sang-woo's car so that he would stop. But Sang-woo told Hee-Joo not to get out because it seemed like Seo-eun was crazy. Hee-Joo didn't want to and chose to get out of the car, and when Sang-woo blocked them, Seo-eun took Hee-Joo into his car. Seo-eun warned Sang-woo not to approach Hee-Joo again, but according to Sang-woo it was odd because their relationship was unclear. And Seo-eun also had a question. Actually, since when did Sang-woo find out about the missing children from the orphanage? Has the perpetrator been found? The police should have investigated it, not made into a mystery show like Sang-woo did. And Sang-woo also suspected what was going on that made Seo-eun find out about the case. But Seo-eun was actually disturbed by Sang-woo and not the case. Since Sang-woo appeared, threats, kidnappings and explosions have occurred. Was it just a coincidence? In the car, Hee-Joo then gave a reason why she met Sang-woo. It was because she got a video from the kidnapper, and when Seo-eun saw it, he immediately pulled over. He read a message on Hee-Joo's cell phone that Hee-Joo didn't know anything about Seo-eun. Why did Hee-Joo ask Sang-woo instead of him? Was Hee-Joo afraid? Is Hee-Joo afraid of the side of Seo-eun that she didn't know? Actually, since the beginning, Hee-Joo was afraid of Seo-eun because she was afraid that he would be found out that she was 406. And Seo-eun would not forgive her and meet her again. If Hee-Joo knew Seo-eun's secret, maybe Seo-eun would be like Hee-Joo, who was always anxious, so she didn't want to ask Seo-eun anything. Since waking up, Hee-Joo has always been anxious after the incident that happened to her. She even thought it was impossible for her to be loved this easily. Seeing Hee-Joo crying, Seo-eun then hugged her. What should he do to make Hee-Joo relieved? Hee-Joo told Seo-eun to show her everything, because she could handle everything. Seo-eun also accepted her after knowing that Hee-Joo was 406, so let's show our weaknesses and consider it a draw. Then Seo-eun said if something happened to him and Seo-eun, who she had known as the son of a presidential candidate, disappeared from this world, he wanted the Seo-eun who was left behind is belong to Hee-Joo. Ina returned to her father's house. She was surprised that, before getting married, Ina objected to marrying Seo-eun, but her father did not force her but let her. Ina felt grateful, but also surprised. she thought it was her father's plan, and the document of Seo-eun's DNA results was from her father. Because her father was not surprised when he saw the document, as if he already knew what is actually the content of the contract between her father and Seo-eun's father. Then Aina also remembered when she had an accident with Hee-Joo, her father mobilized the police and the prosecutor's office to dig into the case. But why did her father stop? More precisely, who stopped her father? Then Chairman Hong said not to remember the bad past. Because now, there is a new problem where currently Seo-eun, after being threatened by someone, and the threatening person knows about Hee-Joo, Seo-eun, and also Aina. When Seo-eun became the presidential spokesperson and offered if there were any questions, but the reporters was more enthusiastic to ask about the threats that befell Seo-eun. Then Seo-eun turned off her mic and invited reporters to ask that. But according to Seo-eun, the reporters' questions were not sharp enough. Actually, the reporters would want to know what Seo-eun's weaknesses were that were difficult to find. Then he would shows that can be used as information for news coverage. He played a video that he got from someone who threatened him. Actually, Seo-eun didn't know what the video meant, so he asked the reporters to find out. Those who answered correctly would get an exclusive interview. Because of the quiz that Seo-eun made, the presidential office became busy with calls. Then there was a call from a man who wanted to convey a message to Seo-eun. And when Seo-eun returned to the office, Mr. Kong gave the message to Seo-eun. The message was, he is still alive, and Seo-eun was confused about the meaning of the message. But Mr. Kong had already found out about the phone number, and it was a business number. Don't know who the man really is, but he was with Seo-eun when Seo-eun was little and took care of Seo-eun. But then Seo-eun was taken by someone and made the man sad. Don't know what happened, they separated, and the man now lives alone. Back when Seo-eun lived in a floating house with the man, he saw a child being drowned by a middle-aged man. Seo-eun was very shocked, and suddenly the man closed his eyes. And now Seo-eun is heading to the man's place. He is looking for a place called One Fishing. Meanwhile, Aina comes to visit, and Hee-Joo asks why Aina back to Korea. According to Aina, Hee-Joo should ask why she left before the wedding. Hee-Joo should know the reason she refused to marry Seo-eun. Aina gives Seo-eun's DNA document that Seo-eun is not a descendant of the Paik Sa-Eon blood. And Hee-Joo doesn't mind it because Seo-eun had told about it before. When she saw the smoke, Seo-eun ran and entered the man's shop. The fire had started to spread and the man was lying unconscious. Seo-eun carried the man, but there was an explosion of fire and they fell inside the burning shop and they were both unconscious. When Aina told Hee-Joo to realize that Seo-eun's family was only tricking Hee-Joo to replace Aina to marry Seo-eun, Hee-Joo didn't mind, even though at first she was told by her mother to get married, but now she chose Seo-eun. And not only Seo-eun keeps secrets, she also tricked him, including the fact that she could talk. Aina was touched by Hee-Joo's words and she also liked her voice. Actually, when she was little, Aina really liked it when Hee-Joo called her. It felt strange when suddenly she had a younger sibling who called her sister. Then Hee-Joo asked about Seo-eun's DNA document, but Aina didn't know who sent the document. One thing that made Aina sure that she knew if Aina received the document, Aina wouldn't marry Seo-eun. Someone hopes the marriage won't happen. Meanwhile, Seo-eun woke up and tried to help the man, and the man came too. He wondered how Seo-eun could be there. He told Seo-eun to go out by himself because someone was targeting him, but Seo-eun didn't want to and kept trying to save him until they fell on burning wood. At home, Hee-Joo was confused because Seo-eun couldn't be contacted. Then she called the emergency call. She told them that her husband hadn't come home for 6 hours. Then they told her that maybe her husband was just late coming home. Because adults over 18 who are healthy and there is no suspicion of crime are likely to run away. Then Hee-Joo explained that her husband received threats and also his office had been bombed and someone even pushed him into a ravine. Hearing that, they asked what her husband's name, but Hee-Joo decided not to answer and hung up the phone. Hee-Joo was curious about Seo-Eun's real name and Ina was also curious because she first met Seo-Eun when Seo-Eun was 15 years old. That was a bit odd because Ina had never met him before. That Paik Wee-young had a son 2 years older than Ina. They were neighbors, but Ina had never met him. Now Hee-Joo understands why his parents treat Seo-Eun like a stranger. And Ina guesses they have a biological child, that Seo-Eun became their child when he was 15 years old. Then who was their child before he was 15 years old? Then Hee-Joo went to Seo-Eun's parents' house in the middle of the night. They were shocked when Hee-Joo talked to them and told them to look for Seo-Eun. Hee-Joo also asked why Chairman Paik covered up their grandson before he was 15 years old, even though Chairman Paik loved his grandson very much. There must be a reason why his biological grandson couldn't be revealed. Is that the reason Seo-Eun became a fake grandson? Hearing that, Seo-Eun's parents were angry and said that Hee-Joo was just a substitute wife for Seo-Eun, and her mother admitted that Seo-Eun was also a substitute for their son. But Hee-Joo thought that Seo-Eun's presence was very important to them, so she wanted them to find out what happened to Seo-Eun. After their assistant found out, it turned out that there was no missing report under Seo-Eun's name, and then her mother told Hee-Joo to go home. When Hee-Joo left the house, their assistant called her and asked how much Seo-Eun knew about the perpetrator of the threat. He doesn't know anything else about heterochromia. Actually, when he was young, Seo-Eun had eye surgery and since then his eyes were no longer different colors. Their assistant told her that the first time Seo-Eun came, he was like a scared stray cat. He never saw him smile calmly in that house. He always felt anxious. When Hee-Joo was confused and worried, Sang-woo suddenly called Hee-Joo.
여보세요.
Hee-Joo arrived at the hospital and Sang-woo was already in front of the surgery room. It turned out that Sang-woo previously visited the men's shop, Jang Gyu Ri. Sang-woo went there because he wanted to cover the case of a missing child at the Sinal daycare. But when he heard that, Sang-woo was immediately chased out by Mr. Jin Seok. And when he wanted to return to Seoul, he met Seo-Eun. He then turned around and followed Seo-Eun. It turned out that Seo-Eun went to where Mr. Jin Seok was and he saw a fire in the shop. Sang-woo then went in and saw Seo-Eun and Mr. Jin Seok unconscious. He tried to wake them up but they didn't wake up and Sang-woo saved them both. Sang-woo wondered how the fire could have happened, who did it and why was Seo-Eun there. He also doesn't know the real relationship between Hee-Joo and Seo-Eun. Hee-Joo thanks and apologizes to Sang-woo because she has covered up a lot. Finally, Seo-Eun finished surgery and seeing him unconscious made Hee-Joo worried. Seo-Eun's reporter friend, Hyejin meets Yoo Ri. He finds out about the missing child case that Yoo Ri is covering. Then Yoo Ri whispers that it is related to twins. Elsewhere, the kidnapper is seen cutting fish and suddenly, he got a message that the fire at Mr. Jin Seok's shop was him doing. His colleague told him not to act alone and he was relieved because Seo-Eun was safe. That was the last warning for him, so don't do anything again.
사고는 네 놈이 칠 것 같은데.
When Seo-Eun was little, he saw Chairman Paik come with a little boy and give Mr. Jin Seok a suitcase. Seo-Eun called him father, but Mr. Jin Seok told Seo-Eun to call him father again. Then he told Seo-Eun to sleep early tonight and never go out. But when it was midnight, Seo-Eun woke up and saw Chairman Paik trying to drown the boy. Seo-Eun was shocked and scared seeing that, and then Mr. Jin Seok closed his eyes and told him to go into the house. Inside the house, Seo-Eun was scared. Then when he came out of the house, he saw Chairman Paik. He said There were monsters that were created. There were also those that were born and they were in his family. At first, it was a goldfish, a cat, then children who were younger than him, and the only thing that increased was a black bag containing a corpse. But now it's safe, because he is the corpse in the bag. Now, Chairman Paik can choose the grandchild he wants. That's why Chairman Paik didn't give Seo-un a name until he was 15 years old. Finally, Seo-un woke up and Hee-Joo was beside him. When she wanted to call the doctor, Seo-un pulled her hand and Hee-Joo calmed Seo-un down. Hee-Joo then told Sang-woo that Seo-un had regained consciousness and Sang-woo went into his room. He asked how he was and Seo-un said he was fine. Sang-woo explained that this was his father's hospital and he made sure that this accident would not spread. Then Seo-un asked about Mr. Jin Seok's condition and Mr. Jin Seok was safe and in intensive care. Sang-woo was curious about the relationship between Seo-un and Mr. Jin Seok. Seo-un explained that he was the one who raised him and his real name was Jong Sang-han. Seo-un had been looking for him for a long time until he changed his name. The story was long, complicated and personal. And Hee-Joo was Seo-un's only family and guardian, so this wasn't an illicit relationship or anything. He couldn't expose Hee-Joo because Seo-un's complicated personal affairs will soon be revealed. When people criticize Seo-un, he doesn't want Hee-Joo to be gossiped about. Then Seo-un thanks and apologizes for misunderstanding Sang-woo. Seo-un asks for help to do everything possible so that Mr. Jin Seok wakes up because he is a key witness in the Sinal childcare case. And the perpetrator of the case is actually still alive. He is the one who been terrorizing and threatening Seo-un all this time. Seo-un asks if his guardian is outside and the nurse answers that there is no one outside. And Seo-un calls Hee-Joo, who turns out to be at home, but she doesn't pick up the phone. Seo-un becomes confused and worried why his wife doesn't pick up the phone. At home, Hee-Joo seems to be looking for something in Seo-un's room and it turns out she is looking for a black cell phone. Paik Wee-young is recording for a TV station and his show is cooking crab for his wife. Then they ask what Mr. Paik usually cooks for his son and he answers that he prepares sushi for his son because he likes it. Even though Seo-un is actually disliking sushi. Then a guest came. She replaced Seo-un because he was unable to come and it turned out she was Aina.
우리 며느리.
Hee-Joo came to the police station, but before entering, she was stopped by Seo-un. Hee-Joo was surprised because Seo-un had not recovered. It turned out Hee-Joo wanted to give the cell phone to the police. Hee-Joo already knew that he was not the real Seo-un and she also knew who the real Seo-un was. Hee-Joo felt that Seo-un's lie was crueler and longer. She didn't know anything until she conspired with the kidnapper to bring down Seo-un. And now Hee-Joo couldn't stay silent. She wanted to protect Seo-un just once, so that Seo-un wouldn't get hurt again. But according to Seo-un, Hee-Joo could also get hurt if she was by his side, but Seo-un still asked Hee-Joo to be by his side because he couldn't let her go. That Seo-un lived because of Hee-Joo and survived because of Hee-Joo. Then Seo-un asked if Hee-Joo didn't mind if he wasn't Seo-un. Hee-Joo just shook her head because Seo-un also didn't mind Hee-Joo who could talk of 406. Back to the cooking show of presidential candidate Paik. Aina was curious about who Seo-un actually looked like because no matter how she looks at him, he didn't look like his parents. But according to Mr. Paik, Seo-un looked like him when he was young. Hearing that, Aina asked Mr. Paik to show his young photo. She also wanted to see a photo of Seo-un when he was little. Then the producer also wanted to know the reason why Aina and Seo-un never appeared together in public. Aina explained that Seo-un she knew before and after marriage was a different person. Hearing that, Mrs. Paik tried to stop Aina and they were saved because of the package that arrived. Mr. Paik thought it was an abalone package that he ordered, but it turned out to be a piece of fish that the kidnapper had cut. Seo-Eun's mother felt that there was something strange about the packager, so she chased him by car until she arrived in front of a house. She entered the house, and inside the house, there was a photo of Chairman Paik, and it turned out that the kidnapper was the one who sent the package. What is the relationship between Mrs. Paik and the kidnapper? Sang-woo sends a message to Yuri, and Yuri meets him. Yuri is surprised to see Sang-woo, who has several wounds, and then they chat at a restaurant. About the accident that happened to him, Sang-woo can't tell Yuri, because it's someone else's personal business, so it's not his right to tell her. Then Yuri tells him that the missing child case must continue to be investigated, because their superiors told them not to broadcast it. It seems like someone is trying to cover up the case.
그러는 거예요.
When he returns to the hospital, Seo-Eun wants Hee-Joo to accompany him, because he doesn't want to lose her again. Hee-Joo is curious about how Seo-Eun found her before. It turns out that Seo-Eun installed a map-sharing application, so Seo-Eun can find out where Hee-Joo is. He anticipated that after Hee-Joo disappeared in the mountains. Mr. Jin-seok regains consciousness and Seo-Eun accompanies him. Mr. Jin-seok apologizes, because Mr. Jin-seok shouldn't have let him leave. Actually, Chairman Paik told him to throw away the child's body, but it turned out that the child was still alive, so he couldn't bear to kill the child, who almost died. He lost his memory, his intelligence has decreased. Jin-seok thought it would be okay to secretly take care of him, but his true nature has not changed. Then Seo-Eun asked where the black bags that he took care of on Chairman Paik Jango's orders were, because Seo-Eun has to expose his rottenness.
밝힐 겁니다.
Seo-Eun's colleagues come with a speech script that Seo-Eun will deliver at the event later. Seo-Eun is surprised and tells them not to enter his room. He is afraid of being caught because Hee-Joo is still in the room. Seo-Eun then tells them to go first, and he tells Mr. Park to talk to him. Finally, the Climate Day commemoration begins. Seo-Eun becomes the presidential spokesperson, and Hee-Joo is behind him as a sign language interpreter. Hyejin contacts Seo-Eun and tells him that among the missing children at the daycare, there are twins. That means there might be a family of one of the twins who is missing. This case is complicated because they are orphans and there is no victim's family. But if the sibling is found, there might be testimony or a confession. Seo-Eun goes to Mount Sinjeok, where Jin-seok takes the missing children there. And because Seo-Eun can't take Hee-Joo, Mr. Park is in charge of taking Hee-Joo. The missing children are buried on that mountain, and Seo-Eun doesn't believe it because the amount is quite a lot. Seo-Eun did not expect that what he had seen when he was little was a bag containing a corpse. Then Hyejin called Seo-Eun again. He got access from the police, so he could trace the DNA data of the missing person's family. While looking for twins, he got information about the younger sibling. Then he sent it to Seo-Eun's cell phone. And the younger sibling was Mr. Park Do-ji, the person who had been working with Seo-Eun all this time. He put medicine in Hee-Joo's drink and Hee-Joo passed out. Seo-Eun was confused because neither Mr. Park nor Hee-Joo could be contacted. Park Do-ji told the kidnapper to come to a place. It was the place where Seo-Eun was raised by Jin-seok before. Park Do-ji is his partner who has been exchanging messages, and the kidnapper calls him master. He is the one who gave the kidnapper a task including threatening Seo-Eun's wife, Hong Hee-Joo. Park Do-ji was angry with the kidnapper because he felt lied to, and he hit him with a baseball bat.
속인 건 너지?
It turned out that he went to Jin-seok's shop and saw the kidnapper and Jin-seok having a tense relationship, because Jin-seok was caught by him when he wanted to run away. Jin-seok told him not to bother Seo-Eun because he was innocent, that his grandfather and parents wanted to kill him. But according to the kidnapper, Seo-Eun had enjoyed his life for decades by being a fake Paik Seo-Eun. And at that time, Park Do-ji found out the truth, that Seo-Eun, who was near him, was not the real Seo-Eun. Jin Seok regretted that he didn't kill him before, and the kidnapper said it was too late because he would destroy Seo-un, and he hit Jin Seok using a glass bottle. Park Do-ji felt light too because he was the real Paik Sa-Eon, but when Do-ji hit him again, the real Seo-un hit him back and Do-ji fell down. After knowing that Do-ji was Seo-un's subordinate, the kidnapper enjoyed torturing Do-ji even more. He drowned Do-ji like his grandfather did to him when he was a kid. He also sent a message to Seo-un and told him to come without reporting to the police because he threatened to kill Hee-Joo if he reported it.
경찰
When he got there, he remembered when he was little and then he saw a black bag on the boat and he immediately checked it. Seo-un was very scared if the bag was his wife, but it turned out to be Do-ji. Luckily, Do-ji was still alive and told him that the kidnapper was carrying Hee-Joo. The kidnapper was in the car with Hee-Joo and Seo-un screaming his wife's name. Hee-Joo came to her senses and pulled his hair until the car hit a rock. Hee-Joo get out of the car and chased Seo-un. But the kidnapper wanted to hit them. Luckily, they managed to avoid it. Then Seo-un pulled the kidnapper and it was the first time Seo-un saw his face. Seo-un was furious and he's going to get his name back and everything, because from the start Seo-un didn't want it. But he wanted to have Hee-Joo as his wife too and made Seo-un angry and hit him. But he took out a knife and almost stabbed Seo-un, then Do-ji came and he got stabbed by the knife. Seo-un immediately pressed his wound and the kidnapper ran away. Do-ji told him to chase him, but Seo-un didn't want to. Do-ji regretted colluding with him because he thought that Seo-un was Seo-un's partner who killed his sister. When on the mountain the person who pushed Hee-Joo was him. Just like when Do-ji lost his only family, he wanted Seo-un to feel the pain of losing someone he loved. After what Do-ji did, he regretted it because he just found out that he wasn't Seo-un. When he met his mother, the kidnapper still remembered when his grandfather died and 3 days later was his grandfather's Memorial Day. He also still remembered when his grandfather tried to drown him in the river. Actually, he was the one who wanted to kill his grandfather with his own hands, and his mother felt deceived because she thought her son was dead. Chairman Paik had deceived her by saying that her son was dead. But according to his son, his mother did want him dead. He was afraid to meet his family because he wanted to be killed again or locked up again. His mother felt sad hearing her son's words and she didn't want to lose him again and wanted to protect him. But suddenly her husband's men came and wanted to take him, but he managed to escape. Yuri reported that the Seonang police station announced the arrest of suspect Park Do-ji, who was believed to be a conspirator in the Paik Sa-Eon threat case, and stated that the suspect's residence had been searched. Police investigators searched the suspect's house in Seoul. Seo-un's office friends were shocked to see the news, even though Seo-un trusted him more than anyone else so far. It is likely that Mr. Park will be questioned and punished, then the presidential spokesman will soon state his position. Seo-un is at the police station and the police have analyzed the computer taken from Park Do-ji's house, and it seems that it has been used for undetected hacking. Is that how he tapped and tracked Seo-un's location? But there was another hacking target besides Seo-un, and they suspect he was his accomplice. Seo-un thought that meant they could track the accomplice's location now. But the problem is, the program was encrypted and they didn't know how long it would take to unencrypt it. The only quickest way is ask Park Do-ji, but he exercised his right to remain silent. Seo-un visited Do-ji in hospital with tight police guard. Seo-un feels he deserves this, but Seo-un can understand it because it turns out Do-ji helped the perpetrator all this time and he fooled Do-ji. Do-ji misunderstood and wanted revenge for being deceived, but Do-ji tried to hurt Hee-Joo too. So that's a different case. It's an attempted murder. But Seo-un has no right to blame Do-ji, because Seo-un also lives comfortably as Paik Sa-Eon. Seo-un agrees with that. Everyone including Seo-un will pay for their sins. So, he asked Do-ji for help to catch him, But Doji thinks Seo-un can't possibly reveal the Paik family's secret and release the highest power of this country. Then Seo-un wonders, why did Doji save him? Does Doji think that maybe Seo-un isn't the person he hates? Doji asks if Seo-un never suspected him. He was always scared because he thought Seo-un might find out his real intention. But Seo-un only trusts Doji. He doesn't trust anyone except Doji. Even though it's too late, can't Doji at least trust Seo-un now? Aina goes to Hee-Joo's house and is shocked to find out that the real Paik Seo-un is still alive, and he is the one who made the threat. When she was little, Aina remembers going to the yard after her deceased brother Eugene cried. Aina saw a boy running and looked the same age as them, and Aina thought he was Seo-un. But the first time Aina saw Seo-un, when he was 15 years old, he was much taller than the kid she saw at that time. So, Aina thought the kid she saw might be the real Seo-un, and not long after that, the car accident happened, and the real Seo-un disappeared. Hee-Joo becomes curious if the accident might not have been an ordinary accident. And Aina feels that Eugene saw Seo-un's real face, which Paik family wanted to hide. Her mother came home because Hee-Joo didn't pick up her phone, and she was surprised to see Aina there. Her mother thought Aina wanted to get rid of Hee-Joo and replace her. Hearing that, Aina just smiled. Her mother didn't like the commotion because of the arrest of the perpetrator for the attack on Seo-un. Because if it continues like that, it won't be good for the election, and Hee-Joo could fail to become the next president's daughter-in-law. Her mother thought she should have married Hee-Joo to the Youngwa construction family. At that time, Aina was shocked to hear her stepmother's words. Her mother regretted it, because this happened because Aina ran away before the wedding. Hee-Joo also regretted loving her mother, and that wasn't love. Hee-Joo thought being obedient was a way to show love, and if she obeyed her mother, she thought her mother would love her too. But now Hee-Joo realizes, after loving and being loved, love doesn't force one person to sacrifice like her mother did, or to be completely obedient like Hee-Joo did to her mother. That just for her mother's good so she can live better. Now Hee-Joo won't listen to her mother anymore, and she won't be the president's daughter-in-law. So, Hee-Joo tells her mother not to dream. Aina gives Hee-Joo a drink and she wonders, how could she forget? The DNA test result that Aina showed earlier, Aina feels like she now knows the sender.
누군데?
When he gets home, Seo-un is shocked to see their house decorated with candles and looks romantic. Then Hee-Joo pushes Seo-un and gives their marriage contract. The contents are: first, the husband cannot file for divorce. Second, divorce is prohibited under any conditions. Third, they will announce to the public that they are husband and wife. If one of them is violated, then the fine is 2 billion won. Now Hee-Joo understands the meaning of the statement that Seo-un was daydreaming long before that. Seo-un said a long time ago and doesn't know when exactly, but Hee-Joo is sure it was before 3 years ago. Hee-Joo knows the person who sent the DNA test result to Aina before the wedding is Seo-un. Because at that time Hee-Joo was going to be married to the Sun Youngwa construction family, and the only woman who would sell her daughter is Hee-Joo's mother. At that time Seo-un is going to get married as planned. However, he changed the bride, not Aina, but her sister. So Hee-Joo is not a substitute. From the start, Hee-Joo was Seo-un's wife. Hee-Joo asks Seo-un, when all this is over, will Seo-un marry her? Seo-un answered no. When all this is over, Seo-un will propose to Hee-Joo and they kiss.
사랑해.
Sang-woo sent a message to Seo-un. He thanked Seo-un because thanks to him, Sang-woo found his friends. But there is still one person who has not been identified, one of the twins. Then Seo-un entered Doji's room again. Seo-un said that he had destroyed himself, that after taking revenge, the goals and targets that supported his life were gone, and he also wanted to disappear. But now he has changed her mind. He will live with the person he wants for the rest of his life. It is said that Doji's sister died, but what about the rest of Doji's life? How many lives must be lost before this ends? Then Doji said that it's not over yet, they have to catch him. And after that, he will think again in the future. Doji felt grateful when he found out that Seo-eun was not the Paik Sa-Eon he thought. Ina and Hee-Joo met her father at his residence. Her father heard that Seo-eun caught the gang of perpetrators. Then what about the perpetrators? Then they answered that they already knew who the perpetrators is. And when heard, their father is not surprised and they guessed that their father must have known. No one escapes their father's supervision in this family, and their father asked them to finish their words and who is the perpetrator. But before they tell, there is something they want to ask. This is about the reason their father covered up their car accident before. What deal did their father actually make with Chairman Paik? It turned out that at that time Chairman Hong wanted to shoot Chairman Paik because his grandson caused the accident and his son, Yoo Jin, died. He intended to kill Chairman Paik, so don't try to deny it. Then Chairman Paik asked if he had calculated correctly. After shooting him, what would Chairman Hong get? Chairman Hong invested tens of billions, one for Chairman Paik's presidential campaign. And if he shot him, then Chairman Hong would not only lose his son, but also lose the money. Chairman Hong felt that Chairman Paik understood that Chairman Hong was more sensitive to losses than profits. Then Chairman Paik felt that it would be better if it wasn't only Chairman Hong who lost, because maybe now their sons are walking side by side on the road after death. That Chairman Hong's son and Chairman Paik's grandson are dead. And now his two daughters are asking what did their father get rid of, and what did their father get. Chairman Hong came to Chairman Paik's funeral with a gun and Hee-Joo gave a message to Seo-eun to come quickly to the memorial service because she had a bad feeling. Suddenly Chairman Hong shot Chairman Paik's photo and pointed his gun at Seo-eun's father. Chairman Hong had warned that if the creature in the Paik family was still alive, he would cut it from head to tail. He told Seo-eun's father to hand over the real Seo-eun to him. And suddenly a bomb exploded and they tried to save themselves. Seo-eun a little late in arriving because the atmosphere was chaotic. Ina said that she lost Hee-Joo. And then Seo-eun got a call from the kidnapper that he was really going to kill Hee-Joo. It turned out that Hee-Joo was being held captive by the kidnapper again by forcing her to drive the car. Now the kidnapper was sure what is the most valuable in Seo-eun's life. Seo-eun told him to let go of Hee-Joo because Seo-eun was the one he wanted, so don't bother other people, let's finish it with Seo-eun. But the kidnapper is even more excited because it's Seo-eun's turn, soon just wait. Seo-eun's journey is still long because he is Paik Jang-go's grandson, who is successful and lives well. This is just the beginning, and Seo-eun still doesn't know the real pain. The kidnapper wanted Seo-eun to be really tortured, because Seo-eun only watched as he was dying. So, he also wanted to watch Seo-eun struggle and beg to be saved on the verge of death. That the fragrant aroma coming from Seo-eun's body would change into a pungent smell of blood. Then Seo-eun saw Hee-Joo's GPS and he told Hee-Joo not to worry because he would be there. But Hee-Joo forbade him. Hee-Joo said that she wanted to protect Seo-eun, even just this once. Remember one thing, that she loves Seo-eun very much. The kidnapper thinks Hee-Joo will do something crazy. Hee-Joo reminded the kidnapper that once he starts, he must end it. That's what the kidnapper once said to Hee-Joo when he kidnapped Hee-Joo. Hee-Joo will make sure that she doesn't make the kidnapper suffer anymore. And Hee-Joo turns the steering wheel towards the cliff. Hae-jin reported in the accident that the vehicle had been evacuated and the SAR team was searching around by boat. The impact of the accident was so severe that the guardrail was completely damaged. The search and rescue team found the vehicle at a depth of about 20 meters, but no passengers have been found yet. According to police investigations, the car was driven by Paik Sa-Eon's wife and fell into the river after she was kidnapped. The police have released a sketch of the suspect's face and issued an emergency search order. And Paik's spokesperson will hold a press conference regarding this. In the press conference, Seo-Un gave his speech that all this time, he has been hiding something. That he is not the son of presidential candidate Paik Wee-young, nor is he the grandson of Chairman Paik Jang-go. Both the name Paik, Seo-Un, and his identity as Paik Wee-young's son are all fake. If there is one thing about him that can be said honestly, it is that he is the husband of a woman. His wife was kidnapped 2 days ago by the person who had threatened to kill him. The investigation and search are ongoing, but his wife's location is still unknown. To that end, he asked the public, not as a spokesperson, but as a husband. He humbly asks for the public's help and cooperation. His wife's name is Hong Hee-Joo. She is 28 years old, 167 centimeters tall. When she went missing, Hee-Joo wearing a black suit and black shoes, and had long straight hair. And she is a sign language interpreter from the presidential office. If anyone sees his wife, please report it now. Seo-Un asks for everyone's attention and help so that his wife can return safely.